Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. With the latest WWE edition of your favorite professional wrestling podcast. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, and we are here to break down everything that happened in the world of WWE over the last week across Friday Night SmackDown and Monday Night Raw. We will also be taking a second look at WWE Clash in Italy briefly, AAA Noche de los Grandes as well, and we will take our first extended look at the WWE King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournament. So, yes, once again, another loaded episode of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast awaiting your ear holes on the way into this edition of Performance Enhancing Audio. Allow the Silver King off the top to remind you that this show
is all about Defy.
So please, folks,
stop being marks for yourselves and go back to being a mark for me.
Go back to being marks for the Silver King Adam Silverstein, Vintage Chris Vanini, and the Getting Over Wrestling podcast in its totality. Head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Also, do not forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show. On YouTube, you can listen to the program and you can watch full-length video interviews as well across the board. Make sure you find us on social media at Getting Overcast. Now, before we fully get into this show, I do need to remind everyone that there is a WWE Clash in Italy and AAA Noche de los Grandes instant analysis podcast that may still be waiting for your ear holes in our feed. We published it shortly after Clash in Italy went off the air. We went over 2 hours and covered everything from both of those shows, including the incredible Mascara contra Mascara match between El Grande Americano y El Grande Americano Original. Make sure you listen to that, especially before the top portion of the show, as we are going to take that second look at both of those programs before we, of course, break down everything else that happened on WWE TV this week. So it was a great show. I think Vintage and I both loved it. Wanted to point that out. One other programming note before we fully get into the show. As of right now, I basically have no idea what we're going to be doing next week. And this may be news for Vintage as well. So Silver King is heading to Manhattan. I will be in New York for games 3 and 4 of the 2026 NBA Finals. My New York Knickerbockers going for their first championship in 53 years against the San Antonio Spurs. As such, look, game 1 is Monday night, head-to-head with Raw, so that's going to get impacted, obviously. Tuesday, I have work commitments as well. We normally obviously tape and publish on Tuesday. I don't know when or even if I'll be able to do the show at that time. Game 4 is Wednesday. So again, another conflict. And then, of course, we would normally publish our second podcast of the week on Thursday covering NXT and AEW. Will I be able to watch those shows? If I am, will I be able to tape the podcast? Just don't know. So the point is the scheduling may be a little bit wonky. Maybe you get your WWE show Tuesday morning, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. I don't know. But I'm going to work in concert with Vintage. We're going to do our best to get both of us on the program. It may be one of those weeks where I just need to tape myself and just kind of get it out and we get Vintage to send in some clips or we double back with him on Thursday because I don't have time on Tuesday. I don't know. That's the point. But we will have 2 episodes for you as we always do. We'll cover everything that happens in WWE, NXT, and AEW. I just can't tell you necessarily when they're going to come out. So I wanted to lay the groundwork there. Vintage, anything on your side you want to cover before we get into this program?
No, I am. Part of me is rooting for your Knicks in these NBA finals. But like as a neutral observer, like I am so excited for this. Like I could handle both teams winning. And it's weird because I grew up despising the Spurs. They beat my Pistons in Game 7 in 2005. But Wemby's fun. The Knicks are fun. I can't imagine what that scene is going to be like when you're up there.
Yeah.
I'm very jealous that you get to do that. That is extremely cool. So
yeah,
enjoy it, whatever happens.
I've never, lived in New York as a conscious human being, meaning like I was there for a period of time as a baby, but I've never lived in the city and I've only visited a limited number of times. And The only time I've been there around something that was happening in sports was last year, ironically, during games 1 and 2 of the AL wildcard. It was Yankees-Red Sox. And I got to tell you, like, maybe it's just because the Yankees have 27 World Series and it was the wild card and whatever. Outside of the Bronx, when I actually went to the game, there wasn't Yankee stuff everywhere. It wasn't like that. The city is, from what I understand, what friends have showed me, pictures and videos, the city is as alive as it ever is, or it's ever going to be. And like, I can't wait to go to New York and experience like what New York is like when the Knicks are good, which again is something that hasn't really happened since 1999. It's occasional spurts with, Amari Stoudemire and Carmelo Anthony. Obviously, Jeremy Lin had his extremely brief run. We've been good the last couple of years in the playoffs, but not like this. And I'm so excited for the experience, almost as much as I'm excited for the game. It's just, look, I'm as big of a New York Knicks fan as you will hear or you will know. And despite the fact that I've gone to Madison Square Garden a few times, I've actually never been there for a Knicks game. So the first time I'm going to see the Knicks play in Madison Square Garden is going to be game 3 of the NBA Finals for the first time in 27, 28 years. I mean, it's insane for me individually.
And the Knicks are the one team, the one New York team that I think everybody like can root for. Like everybody outside New York hates New York for all kinds of things, a lot of the teams, but the Knicks are the team that hasn't won in 50 something years. The Knicks are the real fans type of thing, and not the Yankees who have won a million times and all that kind of stuff. So it is a little bit different. If it had been Oklahoma City, all of America would have been behind the Knicks. Now it might be split. And
you know what? That's one of the reasons I was kind of okay with it. I also love orange and blue, unsurprisingly, and it would have been kind of fun to see like both teams wearing the same colors. And also they're kind of injured a little bit, so I was like, man, the Thunder would be nice. But I like the youth and inexperience of the Spurs, top to bottom, coaching staff, players, obviously, Wemby too. We beat them in the NBA Cup, so. I don't know, man. Like, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be super cool to see Wemby also in his first finals, like regardless of the Knicks part of it all. But this, to me, this Knicks team, it's just reminiscent of, it's not the same team and it's not the same matchup, but it actually reminds me a bit of your Detroit Pistons, right? The Eastern Conference that year was completely underrated. The Pistons were thought of as a good team, but they weren't necessarily the favorites. They definitely were not the favorites to win the NBA titles, the Lakers. And once they got into the finals, because they ran roughshod over a lot of the Eastern Conference on the way, once they got into the finals, I mean, it was a hotly contested series, but they were clearly the better team. They were the more veteran, experienced team. They played defense, and they capitalized off of that. And it's a lot of the way I see the Knicks this year. So I just wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I'm not putting all my eggs in the basket. For me, the fun is being able to go and see it happen, and I'm extremely excited about that. But you know what? What if I'm there and like it's 4-0 and Wednesday night is just absolute chaos and Gotham burns down? Like, that's not impossible. They've swept their last 2 playoff series. So look, Silver King's excited. I'm not going to get too over it. And for those of you who don't like the Knicks or even don't like basketball, you're probably annoyed that we've talked about it so much already. So let's go ahead and move on.
It's Danhausen's team. There's the connection.
It's also a Detroit native who, for some reason, has uncursed the Knicks. Thankfully, thank you, Danhausen. Praise Danhausen. And allowed us to go on this run. But okay, let's get back to WWE. It's a nice transition, vintage. Let's start with our second look at WWE Clash in Italy, and briefly, AAA Noche de los Grandes as well. We're going to go down each match. Just if there's any additional notes or thoughts we have, we'll share them. Any questions from the audience, we'll bring them in, and then we'll just move on and, of course, talk about new content here over the rest of the show. World Championship Roman Reigns, Jacob Fatu, Tribal Combat. I gave it 4 stars, A-. I could be wrong, but especially coming out of Raw on Monday night, and this is not really a spoiler, but it does feel like MFT. This was my main concern at the end of that match. It feels like they were only ringside at the end because they're family and therefore they should be invested in it, not because they're planning to feud or anything. And if that is the case, that's logical that they would be watching the match for those reasons. Maybe I would have put them in a suite as opposed to the barricade, which makes it look like they were going to attack or something. You could even make an argument that it would have been illogical if they weren't there. Of course, Solo Sikoa especially should be incredibly invested in knowing how the match was going to play out. So I wanted to bring that up. I saw a lot of concern immediately after, oh my God, they're going to feud with MFT. And I mentioned it on the show as well, our instant analysis. I said, if that's what they're doing, it's going to be terrible. It doesn't seem like that's what they're doing. So fingers crossed that's correct. I believe this match is being severely underrated by people. It was quality wrestling, but it did not live up to their first match, and it did underwhelm as a main event.
I didn't have much else to add other than the last couple of matches of Roman. We've gotten his talking during the matches again, and you can hear that. I feel like maybe we hadn't had that for a bit, but it helps. The audio is picking it up pretty well. That helps. And yeah, and one thing I'll say about the whole show too, along with this one, I liked the going into the show, the statues graphics of the wrestlers, like the match cards, but they were the moving statues, the marble or whatever it was. I thought those looked pretty cool, so I wanted to shout those out too.
Yeah, and I did want to make one more note, actually. There's people out there saying that this is the same as last time. It's really not. Now, you can be bored of it and not like it. Fine, I'm not going to change your opinion. But Roman is...
But are you talking about Bloodline story?
I'm talking about the story within this overall, deal. So Roman's winning match is clean. The Usos are not helping him, okay? He's obviously a babyface, even though we can question whether his traits are good guy traits, right? He's, as we saw on Monday night, again, going ahead a little bit, he's propping up Jay, not just saying, hey, yeah, you can win the mid-card title and, you should be in the main event. He's saying you should be a world champion like me. And he's treating his cousins maybe not as equals, but if they were treated previously as 3 out of 10, he's treating them as 8s. I mean, he's saying that you guys are close to on my level and I respect you and I want to see you succeed. We're going to have to see what happens with Jacob, the way he's treated, what impact he has in the group. But to this point, since Reigns won the title back at WrestleMania, it has been a different type of bloodline than we've seen before, even if, yes, the faction has reformed.
Correct. I agree with that. And we'll have more on that as we talk about Raw, I assume.
We will. WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes and Gunther. I don't have anything else to say about this. It was way too short. I didn't like the finish at all. I just think it was cheap. And, we've said as much already. Anything for you?
I hated it. And it's going to tie into something that I also talk about on Raw that happened with a rope break.
Oh, okay. Obafemi, Brock Lesnar too. Okay, look. Silver King may seem like he's perfect and flawless on this show. Even I can get over my skis a little bit sometimes, okay? And I did go overboard here, I can admit. I think it's probably the first time I've ever truly gone overboard on grading a match on this show. But something needs to be remembered, and I did say this on the instant analysis. The Getting Over Wrestling podcast has based ourselves on a few axioms over the years. And one of them...
Big meaty man slapping meat. That's what I want.
Is that we want to see big, meaty men slapping meat. Well, guess what?
Reinforce the ring post. The beef's going to be flying tonight, gentlemen.
The beef flew in this match.
There's a lot of beef out here.
So, okay. I said 4.75 stars, A+. Scratch that. Okay, that's not the grade for the match, okay? That was the grade for the moment, let's call it, okay? It was 5 slabs of beef, 0 question, won't accept any argument over that grade. The presentation of this was an A+. For the match as a grade, I'm still going to be higher than most. I'm at 4.25 stars and an A. It was a sprint. I thought it was perfectly booked for Oba's first loss. And it's just not something I can put alongside the best matches of the year, nor should I. But again, it was tied with the women's title match as the best booked and executed match of the night. It still gets those 5 stars of beef. The rubber match could possibly break that scale. And when you look at what was accomplished here, Oba kicked out of 6 F5s, took a 7th to beat him. He broke 2 Kimura locks. He got put through a table and stood up at 6. I mean, you can't book a behemoth to lose a match any stronger than they did. Oh, and he was attacked from behind when it began. So, it was perfection. That's why it was in that A+ range. It was perfection for what they were trying to accomplish. But no, it was not an A+ match. But it was an A. And I refuse to let anyone tell me otherwise. They nailed this.
Well, it's okay that you enjoyed that in the moment.
Of course.
That's
what it's about.
That's the fun. That's the fun of wrestling. And it's why when we sometimes do these look backs, it doesn't mean as much to me. However you feel in the moment is how you feel. Like I rate movies I watch how I feel when I first watched them. yeah, watching it more can change how you feel, but how you feel in that moment is the entire purpose of this exercise.
1,000%.
So I'm not surprised you pulled down your rating. Looking back, I didn't love it as much as you then, but that's okay. And I'm not here to tell you you're wrong
Sure.
or anything like that. So my only thought coming out of this was I don't know if Oba should have lost. And I say this as the person who for a while said Oba should have a loss early so you don't put the burden on him of doing a Goldberg. But I don't know, like a couple days later, thinking about it, a Goldberg clip coming across my Twitter feed the other day. I don't know. Maybe they should have done the Goldberg thing with him. Like undefeated run into the championship, until he's eventually taken down by, whoever, Javon Evans or something, your next big one. I don't know. We'll see. And I am kind of surprised because Triple H has done a lot of that. He's had a lot of longest reigning champions, undefeated streaks, kind of type of stuff. And this show really went against it. To have Gunther take a pin when he rarely ever takes those, to have Oba take his first loss, I don't know. It's a different booking than I think Triple H has done a lot of, and maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it was good to knock Oba down a peg, but if you're going to do that, we're going to, over the next year, need to get the character of Oba, and he's very good on the mic. We know he can do it. Mm-hmm. But if he's not going to be the biggest monster, then let's get to know him a little bit more, and I'm curious how that'll play out.
The problem is, if you are not going to have him lose to Lesnar, then you can't have more than one match. And there's so much money.
Correct.
There's so much money. People are like, why does this need to be a trilogy? Well, professional wrestling, I'm not saying WWE and TKO, professional wrestling, and this is what is missed by so many people and so many other promotions over many years, not just now. It's a business. The goal is to sell tickets, get ratings, and make money. It is not here just to cater to whatever story you want to write in a book and like, oh, in my ideal world, Obafemi would do this. I'm not saying this about you, Vintage. I'm talking about other people.
No, you're right.
But so WWE, they saw money in a trilogy. There is no harm whatsoever in doing a trilogy like this. We've seen it work in Vintage's favorite movie. We've seen it work in Die Hard and, whatever. And we've seen it work in professional wrestling as well. So if you want Oba to have 3 matches with Brock Lesnar and he beats him 3 times, because that's your only other option. You're not going to have him lose the 3rd match, right? So, and you don't want him to take an L at all. Then he has now defeated the guy who dominated Roman Reigns, who dominated WWE, the championship for so many years. They had to create another one, so on and so forth. Your next step with this guy, the only thing he can do after ending the feud with Lesnar is win the world championship. And then you're stuck with an undefeated world champion who is so much more dominant than not just most of the people in the company. He's more dominant than every other person in the company, especially because he's on Raw. So if he's winning that title, if he wins King of the Ring and then wins the title, he's beating Roman Reigns after that. He's not beating Cody Rhodes, okay? So now you have this guy who's run through the entire company, including the 2 strongest booked guys over the last 15 years. And I know Cody's been booked strong. Lesnar and Reigns have been booked stronger. Who beats him? And then when that person does beat him, is it Roman Reigns? And then you're like, oh, well, Roman, of course WWE gave Roman his win back. Or of course they had Cody beat him because Cody always wins these. Like, or is it Gunther? And so the point is you really book yourself into a corner. By getting that first loss out of the way, it's not cheap. It's earned and deserved by Lesnar. He's the most legitimate guy to beat Femi. And now, in his second loss, let's say he doesn't lose again until he wins the title, right? But then he eventually loses the title in a triple threat, or he, someone cheats to beat him, a heel cheats to beat him, knocks him over the head with, a sledgehammer, something that you need to do. You say, oh, well, his first loss wasn't cheap. It's just the second loss. So there's all those reasons why they did it. I'm not saying that you're wrong and that there isn't something to keeping him undefeated, but it is so much more difficult to book that than it is this guy now who has a loss. It's out of the way. And again, we're jumping ahead to Raw. I hate to do this, but he was somehow more over on Monday night than he was on Sunday.
I almost think part of it is he's so over and still dominant in the fact that it took so much to beat him that the loss almost didn't matter.
Exactly.
But that also means you kind of gave up the undefeated possibility for nothing. I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
They gave it up for the third match is what they did so that they can make millions of dollars on the third match. That's the idea.
I mean, I think you could do a lot of things at SummerSlam, but it's clear that's where we're going. Well, it'll be good.
Maybe I think it became more murky Monday night, and we'll talk about it in a moment. But
yeah, that's true.
But two more notes on this match quickly. One, Lesnar's theme is not one I would have ever expected a crowd to do a sing-along for, ever.
Yeah.
But they sounded great on Sunday, and Brock clearly got amped up by it. So that must have been an amazing feeling for a guy who's this deep into his career and never had that before. And also, at the _TRGT guy wrote in, Silver King, why is everyone so hung up on the narrative of Brock retiring at SummerSlam? The dude is in amazing shape, and like him or not, he is a megastar. He could easily have a couple more high-level years as an attraction a couple times a year. So just because he looks amazing in the ring and he's able to move around, first of all, he was gassed in this match, and it was only like 6 minutes or 9 minutes, whatever it was. It was very short. So first of all, he's gassed, and I don't think he has the cardio for it anymore. Number two, he's on stuff. Let's just be candid about what Brock is. And he's been on stuff one way or another for the vast majority of his adult life. And now he's whatever he is, 48 years old. As AJ Styles told all of you in his retirement run, it's one thing to look the part, it's another to feel the part. And this guy, when you take wrestling bumps, and you've been taking wrestling bumps, even if his schedule's been more limited than most, when you're asked to do that at age 48, 49, 50, which is what you're talking about, extending him for a couple more years, letting him wrestle a couple times a year, it's hard on the body. Also, you need to remember, he made more money than any superstar in WWE up until recently, Roman Reigns getting his 2 huge contracts of late. So Brock's paid, and he lives a simple life, and he still makes money outside of WWE as well. So he doesn't need it. He likes doing it, and he has an opportunity to retire at the first ever 2-night SummerSlam in Minneapolis, where he basically went to college, and what was once his hometown before he went to not necessarily hometown, but once where he lived. Maybe it was his hometown before he went to Saskatchewan. So that's why everyone is talking about it. Is it known for sure? Absolutely not. But don't forget, it looked like Brock had retired at SummerSlam, whatever that was, 2 or 3 years ago with Roman Reigns. When he re-signed, it was quite clear that this was like a last run situation. Get some great matches out of him, put someone else over, Obafemi, and then right off into the sunset. I don't need Brock Lesnar. I don't think WWE needs it. I don't think Vintage U need it. Or I don't think Brock needs it. We don't need Lesnar feuding with Trick Williams after this, or fighting Roman Reigns again, or going after Cody Rhodes. He's had all these feuds. This is the feud. This is the way you go out and almost in some ways cement your legendary status, where you not just had some of the most dominant title reigns in WWE history, as much as we didn't like them, but on your way out, you did the job in classic style and put over the next big thing. The next big thing putting over the next big thing. That's what's happening, and that's why everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, we went longer on this. We can keep going.
Good call. WWE Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley against Jade Cargill. I had this basically tied with Lesnar and Femi as the match of the night. Vintage, any additional thoughts here?
Cargill turning that Riptide into a DDT was the move of the match, which was great. And watching the rope break again the second time was even more awkward than I thought the first time going around. The referee having to kind of stop the 3 count and stuff, especially again, because Cody and Gunther, you could have just slid the foot under the rope. This is the inconsistency it creates.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need to, you just need to touch it. So they did that, and that was kind of okay, but the referee didn't see when that happened. But you're right, it was the lone flaw in the match. We're talking about a match with Jade Cargill. People give her a lot of unfair criticism, and the one flaw was BFAB. It wasn't her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this was a great match. Intercontinental Championship, Becky Lynch defending against Sol Ruca. Becky has now put over Lyra Valkyria, Maxine Dupree, and Sol Ruca in the last year. And that's not counting, she also put over AJ Lee, who didn't need that, but of course was legitimized upon her return by beating Becky. So for all of this, we've said this before, Becky Hogan and all this bullshit, retire that, okay? I hope now she gets moved into the main event where she belongs again. This title,
Yep.
it needs to go through the women I just mentioned and others. It's okay if Bayley gets a reign and if certain other, legends or more veteran performers get a reign with a title, but there's so much young talent across both of these shows. Most of the time, the mid-card titles should actually be contended among the mid-card women. And again, it looks like that may be happening based on what happened on Raw. I'll note that. Also, I did not give enough credit to Becky for the comedy of feigning as if she was going to do a soul snatcher out of the corner. That is a move that, as talented as she might be in the ring, she's the greatest of all time. It's not just her saying that. It's me saying that. It's Vintage saying that. It's the Getting Over Wrestling podcast saying that. She could probably never have pulled it off in a match, but especially not in 2026. So very funny, Bex. My bad for kind of not giving that enough credit initially.
Yep, I agree on all counts. Nothing else really to add.
Okay, and Mascara contra Mascara. We got so many comments about this. You guys loved our breakdown. I could probably talk about it for another 15 minutes unabated. I'm not going to. But I had 3 notes. One of them is decent. And it comes from a clip I saw of the Spanish broadcast that made me legitimately laugh out loud. So late in the match, when Bravo climbs high into the crowd to do the huge crossbody, the Spanish team gets completely riled up about it. And then when Bravo leaps down, this is the call from the commentators.
Gracias, Undertaker! Caray!
So how effing funny is that? In the middle of this match, during an incredible spot, they're thanking the head booker. We talk about kayfabe being dead. That could not work in America like I guess it did in Mexico. Can you imagine Penta hitting a Mexican destroyer and Michael Cole screaming, "Thank you, Triple H," or Will Ospreay doing his Sky Twister and Excalibur screaming, "Thank you, Tony Khan"? Okay, actually, that one I can imagine, especially if it was Tony Schiavone. But you get my point. I thought it was hysterical. I'm going to play it one more time.
Gracias, Undertaker! Caray!
It's so great, Chris.
Extremely funny.
And the other 2 notes I have: incredible match, incredible finish, all of that. The reaction that Pimpinella Escolarda got during the guitar shot and the mask removal was astounding. It was like the Undertaker reveal at WrestleMania 40. The crowd absolutely loses its shit. And I have watched that clip more times than probably anything else from the match, which is so strange, right? I've watched the match 3 times, but after the bell, I noticed this on the 3rd watch. Cameras cut to a couple of guys in the crowd who were literally pointing and looking at the sky, thanking God that El Grande Americano won. It's simply incredible. I know you've done this with some matches. I think like WrestleMania 40 was one of them. I don't know that I'm going to stop watching this. Like, I'm sure it'll slow down over this year and over future years, but I keep finding little things to enjoy, and the totality of the experience was just incredible.
And the girlfriend being ringside because
Andrea.
she bought the ticket.
Yeah.
Like classic wrestling trope in there. Like, she was fired. What's she doing here? Like, just there were so many little parts of it. And I think ultimately, like, while it was El Grande Americano's night, like he won the match, it really felt like Chad Gable's moment. Like that is what we look back more thinking about.
Definitely.
I think the guy who lost because of what he did and because of the post-match stuff too. And I hope it can turn into something more. And clearly it was enough where WWE decided to show it after Raw.
Yeah. And, I'm glad you kind of made that transition, because originally I was going to talk about it later, but I actually think we should discuss it now. So WWE decided to air Mascara contra Mascara in its entirety after Raw on Monday night. I tried to watch it. The audio was messed up for me. I ended up just Xing out of Netflix and going back to YouTube and watching it again anyway. So I still watched it a 3rd time, but it wasn't immediately after the broadcast. I had 2 notes, though, on this decision. First, this crystallized what I said about WWE not having a hard out. This was technically part of the Raw broadcast as far as Netflix was concerned. When you go to load it up right now, it's just attached to the same file. And as such, the entire show ran for 3 hours and 38 minutes. So you can't tell me that you have a main event match between, let's say, 2 great wrestlers, and you have it end at 2 hours and 30 minutes on the dot, so 10:30 Eastern, because you need to get out of the show there. Let it go for as long as it needs to go to tell the story that you want to tell. That's just one thing. Two, this was a bright flashing light screaming to me that I needed to reiterate on this show, how I was 100% correct in saying that creative completely botched its promotion of this match on Raw over the month prior to Noche de los Grandes. The storyline could have been extended in the United States, or at least they could have done enough to promote the story that was being told in Mexico. Instead, they presented something that was the antithesis of what was happening south of the border. And now that it's finally receiving acclaim, which we all knew it was going to get, they're promoting it and featuring it with video packages and a repeat airing. They promoted this 3 times on Raw and showed it in an antithetical booking scenario to what they had been showing on the brand for months, but especially over the last month. So I'm glad this got exposed to a wider audience on Netflix, but it crystallized that everything they did on Raw over the last 1 to 2 months was ridiculous when it came to building and promoting this match.
So dumb.
Well, like, yes and no. I don't know if the, pro Mexico storyline was going to necessarily work with WWE audience, given where it started. Like the way the whole thing had begun. Like at the beginning of this whole thing, they were just saying it's Chad Gable under the mask and doing that. And so if you had followed it along, I don't know if it would have worked or not. My only thought in terms of the Raw promotion was they spoiled it. They gave it away. Like they showed highlights of the match and then the unmasking and all that stuff. And my thought was, well, I don't know if people need to watch it anymore. So I don't like, it's
no, you're
not
right.
like they built off. It's not like they built off of it on Raw. It's not like Chad Gable was there earlier in the show talking about it. So I don't know. That was kind of weird.
No, what you're saying too, even on what they did Monday night, it was messed up. So they showed highlights of the match. So they basically gave away the result. And then like, hey, spend another hour watching the thing that we just spoiled for you. Michael Cole smugly through to the post-match unveiling with Original getting unveiled as Chad Gable. Luckily, he didn't try to say any bullshit after the fact. Perhaps he knew his role and shut his mouth. But on a serious note, I'm glad simultaneously glad they showed a larger part of Gable's promo and the post-match moment on Raw, so it exposed it to the main roster audience. But they gave away the climax of the thing that happened later, not just the result, but the unveiling. And then El Grande Americano and Los Americanos appeared during a Raw commercial break. They got a massive ovation from the Italian crowd. Americano said the whole world now knows what AAA and Lucha Libre is about, and he was proud of himself for fighting for all the stuff that we mentioned previously. Country, Andrea, Pimpy. Going back to what I just said, though, this was another failure by WWE to capitalize on the momentum from the storyline. Why was Americano not on screen during the main broadcast in the United States? Why did he not get involved in something perhaps fresh on Raw? You're trying to capitalize on the success of the match by airing it after Raw. You give away the finish, you give away the reveal. You don't put the effing guy who's in attendance, who flew from Mexico to Italy, you don't put him on television so everyone can see him. These are simple, unexplained, unforced errors by WWE. Like, who misses shit like this?
Yeah, I didn't know El Grande was there. I didn't see that.
Right, that's my point.
Because I was one. So, like, if you want to say we want to give people a chance to watch the match, we'll do it next week. Okay, do that. But don't spoil it on Raw then.
Right.
Like, let people see it and then do the reaction to the Chad Gable reveal next week. It was a weird combination.
Come on, Oos. It's a joke, right? It's a joke, Oos. You ribbing me?
All right, we'll get out of that topic. We have a lot to cover in the world of WWE from Raw and SmackDown. We have the main event and the good, the bad, and the ugly both coming up.
But I'm afraid I've got some news.
And to be fair, this is not exactly news. It's more just notes. I wanted to get off of the plate here. This is a random and relatively minor nitpick from me, Vintage. Have you noticed by any chance that the WWE logos and now the Club WWE logo on the turnbuckles have gotten comically and unnecessarily large? They used to fit nicely in the middle of the black square. Now they take up almost all of the visual space. It bothers me to no end. I just need to know if I'm on an island with this.
I did notice it. I don't know if I hate it or not.
Okay.
I'm still TBD on my feelings on it, but I did notice it.
But I'm not crazy that it is noticeable and different.
I mean, I assume it is because I noticed it too, but
Okay.
I don't know for sure. I haven't gone back and looked.
Fair enough. In the intro for Monday Night Raw, I just wanted to note Brock is now back in the now part of Then, Now, Forever Together. But interestingly, Rey Mysterio is in the Forever part. Now, I assume it's because he's in the Hall of Fame already, but he's still an active wrestler, so I thought that was interesting. As Vintage alluded to on the instant analysis, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns did come face-to-face backstage after Clash in Italy. They stared down one another, with Rhodes breaking first and Reigns smiling when he walked by. Roman also cut a promo after the show with Jacob Fatu staring a hole in his back, saying he was trying to elevate the family and cement his legacy, but this time he was going to do it the right way. So that just speaks to what I was talking about earlier, where his perspective and some of his character traits have changed, even if he's mostly the same guy. In a segment posted on social media, Jade Cargill attacked Charlotte Flair into a road case after Clash in Italy went off the air. Flair took a big bump onto her shoulder, but stood on her own afterwards, so it was not a kayfabe injury right off or anything like that. I think it's pretty clear that Jade and Charlotte are going to be feuding on SmackDown. And lastly, as far as TV over the last week, I felt as if Monday marked one of the better Raws of 2026. I'm not putting it in a percentage category or anything, but it was buoyed by the crowd. There were 4 quality matches, a PLE level main event. That is what we want from weekly WWE television. It should not be that hard to produce shows like Raw. SmackDown, parts of it were solid. I thought the open and close were particularly strong, building directly for Clash in Italy. The middle portion of the show struggled by comparison. So just another week where the trends are Raw thriving and SmackDown struggling, as far as I'm concerned.
Agree on both points, especially the crowd in Italy definitely helped the show.
All right, tons of show left here at Getting Over. Before we get to it, Silver King does need to remind you,
I happen to love the number 5.
and I hope you do as well, $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Over head. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover, sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. We would greatly appreciate the support. Your contributions keep the show on the air. They pay our bills. You get some extra content as well. Buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. And I will also mention, because I forgot to earlier, make sure you join our free Slack channel. You can find the link in our social media profiles at Getting Overcast. All right. We have a ton to discuss still from Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, everything that did not directly lead into WWE Clash in Italy. And we're going to kick off that breakdown, as we always do, by sliding into the main event.
This is the main event.
Another 2-part main event for your earholes today. Let's start, of course, with Roman Reigns, who got a massive reaction to open Raw with the Italian fans singing his song the same way they did Brock Lesnar at Clash in Italy. Then they did the one tribal chief, there's only one tribal chief chant, and the Roman Reigns chant. His first words came 13 minutes into the show, 13, and he said nothing. Jey Uso then came out and called Jacob Fatu to the ring, joking that he's already late on day one. So Jacob entered with zero aura, selling that he was indeed neutered. He received chants as well, but Raw actually finally started when he spoke, 16 minutes into the show. Roman wanted Jacob to get into it, but Jey was acting like a co-signer over his shoulder, so Jacob stared him down, basically said, "Get out of my business," before speaking. Fatu said he knew what was on the line for both of them at Tribal Combat, and he's going to be a man, take his loss, and keep his word. That way he can set a good example for his children. He called Reigns my tribal chief and said, "I acknowledge you." He even got on one knee. But simultaneously, he shaded Jey, which was a nice clarifying touch. He basically said, "You didn't beat me. Shut your mouth. I'm acknowledging him." Reigns extended a hand, lifted Fatu back to his feet, said he loved him. Jimmy then sent a warning shot to the rest of the locker room as Jacob raised the one to the sky. As this was happening, I was considering the concept of Fatu being part of this faction, like in a real way. And I realized this is now the strongest the bloodline has ever been, even without Paul Heyman. Consider that Jacob was the only reason Solo Sikoa's offshoot even had a shred of relevance. Now he's part of the real bloodline, fully bought in, with 2 world champions, one former, one current, one of the greatest tag team champions of all time. And this is a storyline that could actually lead to them running roughshod over the brand. Like, there's not much excuse at this point for the Bloodline to not hold the tag team titles with the Usos and the IC title with Jacob Fatu. Like, you could totally see that being legit. They're all legitimate champions for those respective divisions. Now, as far as the segment itself, look, it was drawn out for relatively limited content. Fatu living up to his word and WWE delivering on the stipulation. For me, that's important. I hate when heels or even, baby faces skate by the thing that they said they were going to do that was on the line in a match. So I liked that. Even better was the lack of MFT involvement, which has me hoping that, again, it was done for the moment using the logic of the familial investment, and it's not going to be part of what happens on Raw moving forward. So for me, it largely worked. It kicked off the potential for infighting between Jacob and Jay. And while I'm glad Jay is no longer Yeet Man, this new character, though, it does have him coming across like a goober. Overall, despite some of the positives that I just mentioned and what I took away from it, the segment itself was not memorable or notable in any particular way, and it was rather boring, all things considered.
I'm with you in that I'm glad they paid off the stipulation. And if anything, it was surprising for that reason. Like,
true.
I thought someone would attack somebody. Jacob would say no. The MFTs would come out. Basically,
Sorry.
Basically,
I fucked up. I muted myself while I was talking.
Nope.
You just said something. Okay, I got it. 3, 2, 1. LA Knight would interrupt.
Yeah, like something pro wrestling would have happened, and it just didn't. And I think that made it better. I was like, like that didn't go the way I thought it went. And that's in a good way.
Right.
For the segment. As for the Bloodline itself, I don't know. I have been with you in kind of not agreeing with the rising complaints of people saying you're just running the same story back. It's nothing new. I haven't quite fully agreed on that because different things have been happening. Mm-hmm. But this happening and them just all walking off together, that was the first time I was like, maybe we are just running the whole thing back again and doing it not as good. And that starts to concern me. So it's just something I'm going to be feeling moving forward. And you could say technically they're stronger now, but the last time this was going on, we had the record tag team championship reign of the Usos. They had all the gold, all this kind of stuff. It just looked better. I don't know. This doesn't feel like that. And maybe it's going to be different. Maybe it's not, but we wondered coming out of Mania, all right, are we going to fully do Bloodline again? And we didn't love the idea, but also was like, well, they're going to do the Jacob thing for like a month or so and then maybe see where we're at. Mm-hmm. And now we have ended that spot at, yes, the Bloodline is back together, or at least a new Bloodline is together. And I'm a little concerned.
Well,
that's all.
Yeah, no, your concerns are valid because what was so interesting about the first incarnation of the Bloodline was the rise of Roman Reigns, the rise of the trio with Paul Heyman's involvement. And then when you got to year 3 and it's starting to get a little boring, they inject Sami Zayn into it and it completely changes the trajectory of the faction, the segments, the entertainment value. Everything was different. That Sami element just, it brightened them up. And then when Sami went away and they decided to continue it into a 4th year, it got long in the tooth. And all of a sudden, Reigns could not win any match on his own. Everything was interference, distraction finishes, people surprising out of the crowd. It just became monotonous. And because that story already reached its end point, now that you're coming back to it, it's been 2 years removed. Like, people are saying, oh, they're still doing the Bloodline. It's been 2 years since the Bloodline truly existed as a ongoing faction that was working toward the same goal. So they gave a significant break here. But now that they're back in it, to this point, there is not that chaos element that Sami brought where it became entertaining and funny. And it was not just serious professional wrestling with the Anawahi clan dominating a brand. And when you bring Jacob in, he can be a chaos element in terms of creating turmoil within the group, but it's not the chaos element that I'm talking about, which is bringing levity to it and allowing it to exist in more than one area on the show at the same time. You would get a comedy segment from Sammy and Jay, and then you get a really serious segment with Reigns and Heyman. This is just serious right now. And
and it's just serious, and they're baby faces.
And they're baby faces. And this is a positive, don't get me wrong, but Reigns is winning his shit clean. So he's dominating because he's dominant, not dominating because he's a heel.
Yeah, my biggest problem is that the Usos have been totally just like nerfed in this whole thing. They lost the tag team belts. They barely seem to care about it. They're doing errands for Roman Reigns and also not even helping him win or anything.
And
the Usos have just done nothing.
And Jay literally visually lost his color. Like Jay was out there. He was in bright blue and pink and green. He's just wearing black again. And
he got a haircut that I don't
he got a haircut too. I hated his hair before. So it was a positive change for me, but I hated his mullet. I thought that was just so ugly. But so the point is like now, you know, we're all saying this right now. This might be the story they're telling, that Jay realizes that his shine has been dulled and that the Jacob element, suddenly Roman starts favoring Jacob over Jay, or Jacob can't take the fact that he's in this group. Like they're really, I hate to say it because of what they said before, whatever it was, WrestleMania 39 or 40, rolling in the third inning of the Bloodline saga, whatever. I'm not trying to draw the same thing, but for this incarnation, we are legitimately in the first act. Like it's just started. It's only been 6 weeks since WrestleMania. People are treating, maybe it's been 7 weeks. People are treating like it's been 7 months of this Bloodline shit. It hasn't been. So like, I'm willing to give it a leash, but at the same time, I'm expressing and voicing concerns here because I want different and fresh. And they brought all these new people over to the show. And what made Raw so much more interesting than SmackDown for such a long time is that it didn't have the Bloodline. And now it does.
Yep.
And SmackDown is not great. So what's great? You know?
Yep.
It's a difficult situation. They're really going to have to prove a lot of people wrong. Not you and I necessarily, not yet at least. We're not too critical yet. There's a lot of other people that need to get proven wrong here. They could do it. They may do it. We'll have to find out. Roman backstage told Jay he needs to stay on Jacob's ass because he understands why tough love is necessary. Reigns then motivated him to go win King of the Ring and take the WWE Championship. When Jimmy went to follow Jay, because Jay was pumped up for whatever reason leaving the picture, Roman held him back, saying Jay needs to handle this on his own. Again, this is what I was talking about before. For people who claim that the Bloodline is exactly the same as it was previously, this interaction flies in the face of that. Reigns has not developed as much as a character like we hoped. He never truly learned his lesson or atoned for his sins. That does not mean that will never happen. And it does not mean that everything is the same. We know Jay is not winning this tournament, so that part did not matter much. Rather, it was Roman basically ensuring Jay and Jacob remain at odds that I found to be the most interesting part of this going forward. And Reigns fully supporting his cousin. Go win that title, be my equal, not stay underneath me.
Yeah, potentially. We'll see.
And then lastly here, LA Knight backstage admonished Adam Pearce for kowtowing to the Bloodline, asking him if he's feeling oosy, needs an honorary Oos t-shirt, and an Oofalafa. Pearce shot back at Knight, but he refused to take his shit, saying Pearce never stands up to Reigns the same way, but if he comes at Knight like that, he'll pull him out of retirement, Pearce, only to put him right back in it. He dared Pearce to tell him that he wants LA to succeed. Pearce didn't say that. Instead, he said he's aligned with Reigns briefly because Fatu was such a problem, and now all he's trying to do is keep the family business within the family. As he said this, he was pointing at Knight, so LA raised his finger to the sky, raised Pearce's finger to the sky, insinuating that he was acknowledging Reigns as he was pointing at him. Unironically, Vintage, this was Knight's best individual segment in a long time, and he has good segments regularly. Everything he said was facts. It was one after another. Pearce had no recourse. This was the first promo in a while where Knight did not stumble over his words at all, and for some reason, he was white hot with one zinger after another in Pearce's face. He did not utter a single falsehood either. Pearce had been all in with Reigns in the lead up to Clash in Italy because of Fatu. That was extremely curious considering how Roman was at odds with Nick Aldis for nearly his entire tenure on SmackDown. I thought this segment accomplished a ton for Knight in terms of his legitimacy, his logical character progression. We had previously spoke about that, the way he interacted with Jay and Jimmy. Having him interact with Pearce like this, getting so many laughs out of a single segment, and the kicker with holding his one to the sky at the end, There was a great main event on Raw, some other real quality segments. I think this was my favorite thing on Monday night.
I couldn't believe they didn't laugh during this. Like, neither of them broke.
Pierce
and I was
especially,
like waiting.
yeah.
I was waiting for it to happen, and credit to both of them for not breaking. Maybe it took multiple takes. I don't know. But I continue to be encouraged by just getting LA Knight on screen talking and doing things and reminding us that he exists. Now, the jokiness of this doesn't quite fit with, like we said, the seriousness of what this bloodline is. But look, it was a really good segment. We love LA Knight. Good to see.
All right, let's move to King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring. This will be an extended discussion. So WWE on Friday confirmed the winners will indeed get number one contenderships at SummerSlam. That was repeated at Clash in Italy, and the brackets were announced on the post-show. Since we did a general overview with some mathematics on the 16-team fields and the four-way matches on Sunday's show, let's now dive into who's actually involved, and perhaps more notably, not involved. Spent a decent amount of time Monday morning, by the way, breaking down both brackets, only to get thrown for a loop, as WWE accidentally published a different version of the men's bracket on its website. That one included Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn, but the version they showed on Raw afterward was the same as the original from Sunday, and it did not include either of them. So that is the one we're working off. The Raw side has Penta, Obafemi, Dominic Mysterio, Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, Javon Evans, Jey Uso, and LA Knight. I have no arguments for those inclusions. Most notably, MIA are CM Punk, Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and Jacob Fatu, the latter of which is an understandable omission in context of storyline. Not everyone can be in the tournament, and while I thought Dragon would be included, I was not surprised, of course, that he was not. The SmackDown side has Solo Sikoa, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, Damian Priest, Royce Keys, Ricky Saints, Tala Tonga, and Finn Balor. We'll talk about him last. MIA are Ilya Dragunov, The Miz, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn, Rey Fenix, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Tama Tonga. I struggle to understand why Tala is in the field instead of Tama, let alone why he's in the field over Phoenix or Dragunov, who could have made his television return in Europe. He must be injured. Otherwise, I don't understand his exclusion from this, nor why he's not on television. And Phoenix and or Nakamura would have been better than some of the names involved. Overall, I find more fault with the SmackDown side than the Raw side. Vintage, what do you think about the men's field in totality?
I mean, it's mostly fine, other than just, Tala Tonga in there being in there makes no sense. And it's just like, if you're going to have this tournament be for a world championship at SummerSlam, you need to have people actively trying to get in as if it's the Royal Rumble, which we do. Lots of people announce that they're going to be in it. Big stars announce they're going to be in it. All like, it's a thing for a few weeks. And we had a couple of people like LA Knight announce, but like not a ton. And you're going to have to explain why CM Punk isn't in this and Tala Tonga is in this.
Right.
And even if it's just a throwaway line of whatever, like some of it's selected, some of it's a random draw. I don't know. But when you have added such stakes to this, you kind of have to explain it a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they need to do,
we know the Rumble. Technically, we know the Rumble is a random drawing, balls in the tumbler and that kind of stuff. Like, they've done that. They haven't explained this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. The way this needs to be booked is it needs to start a month earlier. So you start at May 1st. Yep. You spend 2 weeks of people either earning their way in potentially, like Ricky Saints, for example. He should not be in this field. Okay. But if he's on SmackDown, Aldis, I want to be in this field. Okay. If you beat Tama Tonga, then I'll put you in. And he beats him. So then he gets in. And like it makes sense, therefore, why someone like a Ricky Saints is part of this. You don't need to explain Carmelo Hayes being involved or Trick Williams as the champion, Damian Priest, a former champion, being there. But when you look at the SmackDown side, those names I just read, Solo Sikoa, Ricky Saints, Tala Tonga, and then you compare them to the Raw side, Seth Rollins, Dominic Mysterio, Jey Uso, Obafemi, Penta. The Raw side is just so much stronger by comparison. And you're leaving out former champions, Miz, Orton, McIntyre, Zayn has been close to it. Nakamura has been close to it. Like, it's weird on that side. So what I'm saying is you start May 1st. You do 2 weeks of people announcing that they're in it, trying to qualify for it. Then you start it concurrently with your build to Clash. You do your first round matches, you get them started, you finish the first round immediately after Clash on Raw and SmackDown, and then you have your quarterfinal matches on TV, your semifinals on the go home SmackDown to Night of Champions, and then you do your finals on Night of Champions. It's really easy, but it requires starting a month early, and WWE for some reason will not do that. It's funny. It's the exact opposite of the situation with AEW. They announce it like 3 months ahead. They do first round matches across they're only doing 8-man tournaments over there, 8-man, 8-woman tournaments over there. And it's going to take like 2 months just to finish the first round because they space them out so much and the women only get one match per show. So the WWE is doing 1 month. They're doing 3 months. Both of them need to do 2 months is basically what I'm trying to explain. Anyway.
I agree. And also it's a tournament that this used to be like a tournament that is about like the rising stars, but you have instead made it for the championship. So therefore everybody should want to be in it.
Yeah, for the contendership. But I will say credit, I criticize the SmackDown side. I do credit. I'm going to scroll through this really fast while I'm saying it. There are only 3. There's only 4 if you include Finn Balor. There's only 4 former world champions in a 16-man field. So that is fresh. There's a lot of fresh names who could get crowned, theoretically, and benefit from what King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring are supposed to be. So I do like the conceptualization of who's in the field. I just think they should have done it better and started it earlier, basically. But the major note from this now is that Balor is listed as a SmackDown superstar. He has the blue border on the graphic, which indicated he has moved brands. That was referenced during a Raw commercial break. So most of the audience, again, missed it, and WWE did not provide any storyline reason for it. Furthermore, it was referenced as a trade. Okay, what were the considerations? Was it Balor for Fatu? Someone else? Don't forget, Gunther is already on SmackDown. Was he the trade for Fatu? WWE had done a great job making sense out of trades, transfers, and even random one-night show appearances for years under Paul Levesque. Like the first 2 to 3 years, every time someone randomly showed up on a show, he said, I'm here to talk to Nick Aldis because I got to do this. And then it made sense why he was there and they're therefore able to have a match, whoever the person might be. Now, there's F it. Who cares? The details don't matter. I don't understand how that has changed. It's the same creative lead. It's most of the same creative staff. Why are they now shrugging their shoulders with details when it was such a huge part of what made WWE booking so good those first couple years under Levesque?
I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get it.
I think we know my feelings on how they've kept up the who's on what show, as I've said many times on this show. I'm most upset about this apparent trade happening on a commercial break. You saying this right now is the first I've heard of it.
This is what Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough had a promo, and Byron Saxton said, hey, what do you guys think about Finn Balor getting traded to SmackDown? And they treated it as if he left on his own and is afraid of them, right? He ended their feud last week, but we didn't know, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, the JD McDonough match. We didn't get to chew on that because we didn't know that was the last match.
Yes, I'm mostly just upset that we were not told on the regular show.
That's what I'm saying also, yeah.
That's what's weird.
Totally. Now, projections. Okay, I wrote mine down before Raw. I asked Vintage to do the same. I don't know if he ended up doing it. Did you?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So these were my projections. Now, we know the results of Raw, but before Raw happened, okay? I had a men's Final Four of Mello, Breaker, Rollins, and Keys, leading to Breaker, Rollins 2, and Breaker winning King of the Ring. My process being that I figure Jay and Knight will cost each other in their four-way due to their feud, and Oba would not need to be involved in the finish of his match, so they can avoid pinning him, but also not making him King of the Ring this time around. They could do it next year, or maybe he doesn't even need it at all. It would also give the tournament a deeper storyline, with Rollins and Breaker having the opportunity to fight a rivalry match for the crown. So those were my predictions, and that was the reasoning behind it. What was your projection for the men?
When you had Braun Breaker winning it?
I had Breaker beating Rollins in the final.
Okay, I was close. I had in the Final Four Obafemi, Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, LA Knight.
Okay.
A Final Two of Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins, like you did. but I had Seth winning. And if this was an old King of the Ring, I would have had Braun Breaker winning.
Right.
But because this is for the championship shot on Raw, I went with Seth Rollins, and we do Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, which was, going to be WrestleMania at one point.
Absolutely.
I can't see Braun Breaker, Roman Reigns being a title match at SummerSlam. So Seth Roman doing the one we haven't done in a long time, getting back to that, to me makes the most sense. It's again where the booking, the stakes of winning the tournament change who my pick is.
Yeah. See, I was operating from the standpoint that we'd get Rollins Reigns at 43 at WrestleMania. I figured they would just say it's going to be a huge match. It's the match everyone wants. It's not a SummerSlam match for me now.
But you can't. Seth's been getting hurt a lot recently.
I know. No, you're right.
You're
right.
You can't bank these things. Just do it when you can.
But you want to build for it as long as you can, though. And I mean, that does give 2 months, no question. But that is the match. And now look, maybe they do fight at SummerSlam, but it's not the match between them. Like that happens at 44 or something like that, where, they do this and we get satiated by it, but we know there's one more chapter and they eventually need to get back to it. And that's plausible with Reigns and Rollins. Anyway, those are our projections going in. There's been one match held so far. Let's see how we held up. Penta, Oba Femi, Carmelo Hayes, and Solo Sikoa. WWE now does a split screen when Femi enters so they can show fans chanting and dancing without losing his visual. That's extremely smart. Oba struck all 3 opponents so he could clear the ring of his competitors and complete his entrance and pose before the bell. That shit visually was absolutely incredible.
Oh, yes! I love that!
And it was super fun and unique as well. The trio tried to attack him at the same time. That failed. Penta and Mello unsurprisingly flashed in their feature spot together as Oba stared down Tala Tonga. Femi and Sikoa brawled on the stairs during the break. WWE finally used those stairs, but it happened during commercial. Again, 3 of the most notable parts of this show, like that would have increased your enjoyment, happened during commercial break. MFT combined to blast Femi over the barricade and into the crowd when the show returned. Penta and Mello followed with topes on Solo as Oba respawned, murked Tala, chopped the shit out of Hayes, and finished Sikoa with his toss slam and fall from grace for the 1-2-3 in 9 minutes. Solo, by the way, had a few funny spots in this match, including mocking Oba's strut, and Femi just chopped the shit out of him. Femi grabbed the mic after the bell, recalling Lesnar questioning him about how he would respond to getting beaten down and defeated. Oba said he took Brock's best shot. He's still standing. He will win King of the Ring, and he will see Lesnar down the line because it's still 1-1 in the series. Somehow, I mentioned this earlier, Femi was even more popular after losing to Lesnar given the reactions he received in and around this match. This was way too short at 9 minutes. I wanted to see a lot more from Penta and Mello before it ended. If we're only getting 7 total matches per bracket, they should be hotly contested at 15 to 20 minutes each. No interference, no count out, no disqualification. And that technically is the rules, obviously, because it's 4 ways. But what I'm saying is, I don't want anyone else ringside. I don't want any bullshit. I want to see 4 dudes wrestle for 15 to 20 minutes. You know why? Sometimes all you need is wrestlers in a wrestling ring wrestling.
We're wrestlers in a wrestling ring. Let's just freaking wrestle.
So for me, there's no excuse for a 4-way with a commercial break to not get that kind of time when there's only so many bracket matches. This one on its own in a silo was acceptable because of Oba's dominance, and Femi was incredibly impressive. 3.75 stars B+ for this match. Most notable is that he escaped the portion of the tournament where he could logically lose without getting pinned. As such, barring something incredibly frustrating like Lesnar interfering in one of Oba's 2 remaining matches or Femi getting counted out, both incredibly objectionable potential finishes in a tournament being used to crown a king and a number 1 contender, barring something like that, he's got to be the huge odds-on favorite for King of the Ring. There are a couple others who are established enough to beat him, like Rollins, but it would not make sense to have Oba take a second loss before fighting Brock. So my expectation now, and this may sound crazy to all of you, my expectation now is that Femi wrestles both nights of SummerSlam. Either the title match on night 1, defense against Lesnar in a no-holds-barred match with a retirement stipulation or something on night 2, or the inverse. Lesnar on night 1, that establishes him, he conquers the beast, and then on night 2, he wins the WWE Championship or something like that. The World Heavyweight Championship, excuse me. It would be an epic way to crown him. The only way that doesn't happen is if Oba falls in the tournament, which again, I don't know how they can acceptably pull that off at this point.
I mean, what do you mean? The most pro wrestling thing ever, which is Brock interferes and costs him. Like
I'm saying it shouldn't happen. It's the king of the ring.
It shouldn't. But this is the match itself was entertaining. I would have liked it to go longer, but the energy was there largely because of the crowd. But Oba wins the match, then gets on the mic and says, "I'm still here. I will be king of the ring," and then says, "It's 1-1. I'll see you down the line." So he's chasing two things here. Like he's teasing, I'm going to win King of the Ring and I'm going to face Brock Lesnar. You can't do both at SummerSlam unless it's exactly what you said, which makes it possible. But what this told me was, well, we've already given Oba a loss. So if you have Brock attack him outside and lead to a count out, you do it. Now, I think it's stupid for a tournament that is meant to crown your number one contender. It might be Oba, or who would he face? He would face Braun Breaker in the second round if Braun Breaker wins. Do you have Paul Heyman connect the vision and Lesnar, doing something there to kind of have that be the reason? Like, there's definitely ways to do it that I will not like, which is why, you probably should have had Oba lose in this first round if he's not winning by just pinning somebody else.
Yeah.
But
I would have rather, when he got knocked out, I would have rather had him cut a promo at the beginning of the show, like on his ring walk. Like, Lesnar, you're not going to whatever. And then when he gets knocked over the barricade, Lesnar grabs him and they brawl to the back, or they brawl through the crowd. He does an F5 through a road case or something like that. He gets eliminated from the match. You still get the moment with Lesnar to continue the feud, and he's out of the tournament. It's a no DQ match.
It's half the point of having more than two people in the match. And
having a no DQ stipulation, which is natural with a four-way. Instead, that's what I'm trying to say. The two options are he wins the tournament or they eliminate him in a really dumb way that shouldn't happen. That's what I'm trying to explain. So
yes,
that's it. Those A and B. That's it.
My money is on eliminating him in a stupid way.
And that's going to be incredibly frustrating if that's what happens. So
yeah, it will be.
Did you like the match, though? Did you enjoy the presentation and Oba and the way it started and everything?
It was entertaining. It was a sprint. But like you, for a match that's supposed to have such high stakes, would have liked it to be longer.
Okay, over to Queen of the Ring. Raw has Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch, Sol Ruca, Lyra Valkyria, Roxanne Perez, Io Sky, Bayley, and Raquel Rodriguez. MIA are Ivy Nile, Maxine Dupree, and Natty. Candidly, the field is correct. Okay, it's the top women on the brand. You could flip Liv out for Ivy or Natty because Liv's a champion, and I probably would have done that, but I'd also have been giving Morgan challengers over the last month and a half and not having her sit waiting for Stephanie Vaquer to get healthy again. I don't have an issue with Liv in the tournament, but it should have been explained. But it should have been explained a lot better if they were going to do it. She should have been campaigning for a spot, saying that she wants to wrestle and she wants to win both titles and be Liv 2 belts if you're going to put her in. Go ahead and tell me your Liv thing.
It's incredibly stupid. Having a champion in a tournament for a number one contender, you should not be allowed to do that. You just shouldn't. I hate it. Same thing with Royal Rumble, and I know it's happened from time to time. Should not be allowed.
So I'm not going to disagree with you. I will note other promotions allow their champions to compete in number one contendership tournaments, and when they win, they choose their challenger. So it's weird for WWE. It is not weird in professional wrestling. I'm just clarifying for everyone.
Sure.
That was the Raw side. The SmackDown side has Alexa Bliss, Chelsea Green, Charlotte Flair, Jade Cargill, Julia, Lash Legend, JC Jane, and Kiana James. Missing are B-Fab, Blake Monroe, Candice LeRae, the rest of Fatal Influence, Jordan Grace, Meechin.
Candice LeRae. You don't need to list. She was not going to be.
You're right. I wrote the full list and I truncated it for other brands and I didn't truncate it for the women on SmackDown. Let me do that again. Okay. Missing are Blake Monroe, the rest of Fatal Influence, technically, Jordan Grace, Nia Jax, Rhea Ripley, since Liv is in it, and Tiffany Stratton. You have Penta, Trick, and Soul all in the field. Why is Tiffany not involved when she's also a former world champion? That does not make any sense. Why is she singled out from the mid-card champions? This would have been a great spot also to get Jordan Grace back involved in something in place of Bliss. Bliss does not need to be in this tournament. So the SmackDown side of both brackets bother me a lot more than the Raw sides, which are relatively perfect.
I mean, Tiffany's a champion. Like, I'm okay with her not being in it.
But the other three mid-card champions are, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
So why is she excluded from it?
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
That's all I'm saying.
Overall, I like this field better other than Liv being in it.
Okay, now let's project the women. I had a final four of Liv, Lyra, Io, and JC, leading to Lyra and Io in the finals and Io winning. Thought process being Flair and Jade cost each other. Bayley and Raquel cost each other. Becky gets screwed somehow by Jessica Carr. And Sol starts her first feud with someone coming out of her match. Io gets back into the main event for a huge SummerSlam match with a crown on her head as well.
I was also close. I had coming out the final four of Becky, Lyra, Io, JC Jane.
Oh, really close.
A final of Lyra and Io winning.
That's weird. Okay, because this could have gone so many different ways. You could have Jade, Charlotte. I mean, for us to have the same finals and winner.
This one had it pretty set up. You could see people knocking each other off.
Right.
And doing their own thing, like Jade and Charlotte.
Yeah, that's exactly why it went that way. Okay, so let's go to the first match. Io Sky, Roxanne Perez, Julia, and Lash Legend. Julia got a real nice reaction and debuted her new short blonde hair, which might be considered a bob. I don't know how women's hairstyles work, but I think that's right.
Not a bob. Not
a bob? Okay, just short blonde hair? Okay.
Yeah.
But it was great to hear her get that pop. The crowd was even hotter for her after the bell. She had a missile drop kick to knock down the other three as Legend had the smaller women in her arms. Fun spot during the break where Io had Julia in a head scissors, and she did the same to Roxy. So Lash came in and turned all three of them over into a Boston Crab. Look, if we're honest, it looked like a human centipede, but it was creative, so fine. Io was easily and clearly the fan favorite. She had a double missile dropkick and her emote, plus a double bullet train attack. Julia hit Arrivederci on Lash, only to get caught by Roxy for a tandem Russian leg sweep DDT with Sky, adding a Satomura Scorpio rising knee for the latter. Io avoided Pop Rocks and got caught on the ropes as Legend hit a double single arm powerbomb of the other heels. She caught Perez and Julia with Lash extension, but Io broke the cover with a flying double stomp and hit over the moonsault on Julia to advance. This went about 11 minutes, slightly better than the men, but just like the men, it deserved way more time. Great work by all four here. Legend was clearly the clunkiest of the group. She was also the outlier as a power wrestler against three diminutive women by comparison. Replace her with someone else, and this match probably winds up in like an A- range. Julia laid her shit in all night. She was appropriately the MVP, and I hope she moves to Raw. I have been saying this for months with her on Raw. She could thrive against the women on this brand. This was the Julia that we had in NXT and previously in Stardom to a degree. Some will be up in arms about her taking the fall. She ate two finishers, and the idea was for her to be involved as long as possible. And she also got beaten by the second most over woman in the entire company. Io is absolutely a legitimate potential winner of Queen of the Ring. I'm glad she got the reaction she did, even though she's been sidelined a little bit. A lot of fun in this match.
Yeah, I like the new Julia look. Also, the blonde just kind of stood out in this group, especially because everybody in this match was wearing silver or like a blue. They all were kind of dressed the same, and it was a little bit strange.
I usually notice that, and I did not notice that this time. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it made the blonde hair actually stand out a bit too. But good match, fun match. I mean, of all the people to take the pin, Julia makes the most sense. So that's what it is sometimes.
I would say, given what happened afterward, it actually would have made more sense for Roxy to take the pin.
Maybe.
But I was fine with Julia taking it. I had no issue with it.
It doesn't hurt Julia because Julia is just nowhere right now.
Exactly.
She's fine.
And she got a good reaction. Hopefully they can build off of that. Perez, who conversely did not get a great reaction upon entering for her match. She threw a fit backstage at losing her opportunity at Queen of the Ring, sarcastically noting how no one was out there with her, not Liv Morgan, not Raquel Rodriguez. Liv came through, basically not able to read the room, super excited about Queen of the Ring, saying she and Dominic would clearly win their respective tournaments. Rodriguez obviously took exception to that, considering, she's also involved in the women's bracket. And it became clear that this turn we've been speculating, it may not be Roxy or Raquel. It may be Roxy and Raquel. There's no doubt that Morgan is feeling herself, believing she's basically untouchable at this point, especially considering, she has no title challengers. She's playing it off in reality, like on social media, saying everyone's a pussy. They don't want to kind of go after her. The fact is WWE has just put her on ice because Stephanie Vaquera is injured. Another solid group dynamic segment involving Judgment Day. But going back to what I said about Roxy's entrance, WWE needs to start featuring her again and flip that sentiment around. It was odd for the crowd not to pop, pun not intended, for her. She's super over in the United States usually. She gets great reactions when she wrestles. It spoke to the way that they just haven't necessarily capitalized on her rookie year, that she was the standout in this match. I mean, Lash didn't get a huge reaction either, but I expected Roxy to get a pop, and she just didn't. But I like the backstage.
No pun intended, but yes, I agree.
Right, I said it twice. I clarified, not the second time. Maxine Dupree backstage questioned Pierce about not being in Queen of the Ring. He explained that some tough decisions had to be made, telling Dupree he did not overlook her. She's at the top of the list if there is an opening. Otis tried to calm her down, but she pushed away his hand. Then they questioned her hanging with Austin Theory. She said they just need to trust her. He and the Vision, to some degree, are misunderstood. I'm glad that Maxine has something to do. It seems like she's going to take someone out in the tournament, enter it herself, and turn heel. And that could be interesting. Maybe she cost Soul her match, would make for a really easy feud for the Intercontinental Championship. And you know what? I think Maxine Dupree as a heel has much longer legs than Maxine Dupree as a babyface.
Or Maxine Dupree as a person who has very long legs.
Sure.
Yeah, look, this is not much. Like, it's just continuing to kind of inch along. I'm interested. We'll see if when anything actually happens, but I'm interested.
All right, that wraps up the main event, but we still have a bunch to discuss from Raw and SmackDown. We're going to do it right now in the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hey, yo. Survey says one more for the good guy.
Say hello to the back.
Don't sing it. Bring it.
Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. This main evented Raw. There was zero, and I mean zero, build to this on Monday night. It was randomly announced earlier in the day. Neither of them cut a promo or got a backstage segment on the show or anything like that. A rematch for what should have been one of the top men's feuds in the company was just placed in the main event of this Raw. Simple as that. Breaker threw Rollins over the barricade into a bunch of fans early after taking a German suplex leading to Suplex City chants. Rollins countered a military press with an inverted DDT, hit a springboard swanton bomb. Braun answered with a Frankensteiner, but Seth uniquely intercepted the apron lariat attempt with a double clothesline midair, both of them falling down to ringside. Breaker gave Rollins the up yours gesture during the break. WWE tried but failed to black it out. Like, come on, it's just a gesture. What are we doing? Breaker caught Rollins with black hole slam, expanding his arsenal a little bit. Seth came back with a lifted Liger Bomb and superplex into a Falcon Arrow on his second try. Breaker then intercepted a stomp attempt with a spear, but when he tried another from one announce table to the other, Rollins caught him midair with a pedigree and sold the knee on the landing. Seth hit a second pedigree back inside for a false finish. Austin Theory ran down but got eliminated out of the ring with the quickness. Rollins then avoided a Breaker spear into the ring post, but with Paul Heyman distracting the referee, Theory drilled Rollins in the head with the title as he was setting up for a stomp. Montez Ford ran in solo to take out Theory with his tope over the ring post, but he got speared by Breaker ringside. Breaker then speared Rollins back inside for a surprise false finish. Rollins avoided a rope run spear with a super kick. Breaker sold that like death, and he added a stomp that should have ended the match had Heyman not gotten Braun's foot on the ropes. We are loving rope breaks in 2026. Heyman's mocking of Rollins distracted enough that Seth literally left the ring and got in his face as Braun ran around the ring. But Seth had it scouted. He threw Paul in the way, and Heyman got speared in an explosion through the barricade.
Ah! Yes! I love that!
Enraged, Breaker returned to the ring, but Rollins had outsmarted him. He was crouching over and holding in his arms the tag team championship that Theory introduced into the match. Braun speared the title just like when Bret Hart had a steel plate under his hockey jersey for Goldberg, and I believe Grayson Waller did something similar to Braun over in NXT. And Rollins then hit the stomp for the 1-2-3. Commentary said Rollins can now put the Vision in his rearview mirror, and Seth pointed to Montez, giving him props for the assist with a nod of acceptance the other way. This was a PLE match disguised as a TV main event, the opposite of the WWE Championship match from Sunday. Considering he lost before, I'm not sure why Breaker needed so much protection, but to be fair, the convolution of the finish was super exciting for the crowd and this viewer too, because there were definitely a couple of times where it seemed as if the match was going to end only for it to get extended. Rollins absolutely had to win, whether this was the end or not. I presume it's not, but going 0-2 against Braun would not have made a lot of sense. The only real miss here was there being zero build earlier in the show and the match not being announced until Monday afternoon. This should have been promoted all week as a signature reason to watch Raw. It's not on Clash in Italy, but we have a huge main event planned for Raw, and it's going to start at 2 p.m. Eastern. What stood out so much, though, were the unique sequences. The apron lariat counter, the Falcon Arrow double reversal, the spear to counter the stomp. Those were a few, but they helped the match stand out from their first meeting and truly shine. And this ran for nearly 23 minutes. And it's not just the quality of the work, but the time allotted to the work that allowed this to shine. I also want to give Rollins his flowers as a character by returning to the mode where he schemes up a smart finish. He baited Breakker and Heyman by making them think they got under his skin. He moved so Paul took the spear, and then having the title at the ready to win the match with the Bret Hart Goldberg spot. Borderline 4.25 stars, 4.5 stars, right in the middle. It's an A. Zero interference in another 5 minutes. Who knows what this could have been? But I do know it was good.
Yeah, my first thought was, this kind of came out of nowhere because Raw starts middle of the day. I missed the opening segment of the show. And then later you find out this is happening. I'm like, did I miss something early on? I thought it was just Roman early on. So did come out of nowhere. Ended up being a fantastic match. I agree with you. This is a pay-per-view quality match. The interference, the saves, the swerves, it had everything. It was built like this was their last match,
Yes.
Like Montez making the save, Braun spearing Heyman. That is how you would end it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they do. I know we both picked Seth versus Braun meeting in the King of the Ring. So maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. But it was booked like they gave everything they had here. And I thought it was a fantastic match. The rope break, the Paul Heyman doing the rope break thing,
mm-hmm.
which we've seen a lot of over the last couple of days. Heyman didn't get the leg up either. It got caught underneath the rope.
Mm-hmm.
And Braun smartly just held his leg there, touching the rope, instead of trying to move it and get it on top. The leg went up, it got caught, and he just kept it there. So visually, it totally worked. And people may not have even noticed he didn't actually get it over the rope. He was just touching the rope. So really good job by Braun there to do that. But it also, again, brings up the question, why not just slide his leg under the rope? You don't even need to lift it, because that's what Gunther Cody was telling us.
Yeah.
Anyway. That was really good stuff from Braun there. The spear of Heyman through the barrier, that was as much of a hug and careful, comfortable spear as you could do.
Yes.
Braun was just kind of carried him over. You didn't even hear the big disconnecting bang that happens when the barrier breaks. So they made that as softly as it could go over as it could, which is the right way to do it. Love the finish, holding the belt, spearing to the belt and all that stuff. Great finish. I thought this was awesome. Fantastic stuff.
I give Heyman a lot of credit. I mean, I don't know exactly. He's 60 years old, 62, something like. He's an older dude. And, even if it's a safe bump, taking bumps like that when you've never been a wrestler at that age, in that shape too, I mean, that's not easy. So, he took the table power bomb from, I want to say, Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. It was. In Madison Square Garden, he took this bump. So, credit to Heyman where it's due. Look, it is possible that their rubber match occurs in the finals of King of the Ring. The vision shits aside, then at that point, it's over a number one contendership. Femi and Breakker in the semifinal, like you discussed, it could end in interference. They could do a roll up or something like that. It would make sense why they got the second match out of the way on Raw if they want the match at King of the Ring to be the finale. But as you said, I saw this and I was like, this looked like the end of the vision to me. Rollins got his win. Breakker speared Heyman. Theory can lose the titles with Breakker to the Profits next week or 2 weeks. They can move forward Theory with the Maxine storyline. Breakker can go individual, or Breakker and Heyman can work together separate from the other guys. It could be the end. It could be the beginning of the end. And if we look at, the person that's waiting, I don't see how Oba can lose in an acceptable manner to Breakker in that match. So maybe this really is it. And Braun takes a month off, let's say, and they bring him back and he does something, builds into something for SummerSlam. Maybe they do another multi-man Intercontinental Championship and he's part of that. So I don't know. It left a lot of questions up in the air, some positive, some a little head scratching. It's possible that WWE just said, look, this faction, I've enjoyed the vision more than most, I believe. I don't know how you feel. You can give your opinion in a second. I've enjoyed it more than most. But the sentiment is that once Rollins got hurt, it fell apart. And then once Breakker got hurt, Braun and Breakker both got hurt, it really fell apart. Now Logan is hurt. And it's just like, even if Reed is back soon, is it worth keeping this thing together? And it just may not be at this point.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the Vision because we never really got the Vision. Like they were barely ever full strength. We get Seth and Bronson and Braun, but then Seth get hurt at, was it Night of Champions? Crown Jewel against Cody, which was
great match.
What, that was late. That was October. After summertime.
No,
sorry. So they do the Vision, but Seth got hurt. I keep thinking like Seth was hurt, then he comes back, then he's hurt again. Then someone like it never really got to be what it was. So I don't even have a thought on it. Really,
neither incarnation got to be. We didn't get the Rollins Breakker Reed version, which may have added Theory anyway. We didn't get that to see that version through, and we didn't get to see Breakker Reed Logan Theory that version. So it's just like, at this point,
it's just like a not applicable. Like you can't really rank them or evaluate it because it never really was it never was what it was supposed to be, which is nobody's fault. It's just too bad because after Seth beats Roman and Punk, this is supposed to be the thing and it's supposed to start. Yeah. But then Seth gets hurt at Saturday night. They do the fake injury, right? Around Saturday night's main event. So he's out for a little bit. Then it's SummerSlam, he comes back. Then was the Vision was right after SummerSlam?
No, the Vision formed after WrestleMania.
Okay. But Seth got fake hurt. Then SummerSlam happens. He's back. Then Crown Jewel, he's really hurt. It never got going.
In an incredible match with Cody that he won, which is exactly what we wanted to happen. That's why I said so many times going into WrestleMania last year, WWE has a ton of problems right now. TKO, getting involved in creative, advertising and sponsors, whatever. The creative plan for the main event of night 2 was Roman Reigns as a challenger to Seth Rollins as a dominant champion with the Vision getting his back. And once that got completely thrown out of the window, everything was up for grabs and everything got screwed up. They made some bad decisions. They made some right decisions that got foiled by other people. And that was just that side. Bianca Belair's injury, other people getting hurt. It was just a nonstop deal. And that's why this Vision thing just hasn't worked the way I think it could have. I believe that the vision for the Vision was solid. They just weren't able to execute it. We'll find out if it continues next week on Raw and going forward. Let's move on. Cody Rhodes again got confronted by Sami Zayn backstage, this time saying he had nothing to say to him. Zayn wanted an apology because Rhodes took advantage of Gunther's interference in the middle of an ongoing match to get the win. So Cody snapped at him that Sami had a chance to help him while he was getting choked out after a match, and he didn't. Zayn said it took everything inside of him not to help Rhodes. He wanted him to learn a lesson. Sami reiterated that he's the last good guy in WWE, but Cody was ready to teach him a lesson after he dealt with Gunther. There were 2 water bottles behind Zayn. He did not smack them off the road case. So this really should be an automatic bad for lack of continuity, but I'm being facetious, of course. I enjoyed this segment. It clarified how warped Sami's mind has become, that he could equate those 2 incidents as being similar. Both of them did well here. It was good.
Yeah, it was fine. It was good. I don't really know why we're still doing this, but it was fine.
Zayn backstage complained about his lot in life to Candice LeRae, seemingly saying that she was one of few people there who listens to him and understands. When she took that to heart, he revealed he was actually speaking to comatose Johnny Gargano, so LeRae got offended and left. Matt Cardona came into the picture saying nothing has gone his way since returning to WWE, but at least he's not talking to a corpse while being a little bitch. So Sami snapped at Matt for being the latest person to disrespect him, challenging for later in the show. This all worked. It was nice to see Candice involved in that matter. I'm starting to get entrenched in my belief that Johnny winds up breaking out of his funk by snapping at Sami and beating him in a match. I could be wrong. I don't want my, booking in my head to ruin what may be a plan that's different that therefore I don't like as much, but I do believe that's the direction they're going, and this was good.
Yeah, it was fine. I liked Sami standing up for himself against Cardona and all that stuff. They keep doing Sami and Johnny, so you think it's going to lead to that, but they haven't really, nothing's really advanced there. It's just the same thing happening, so we'll see. Also, I don't know if we want Gargano beating Sami Zayn. I don't know, but I want that to happen like you. We'll see.
As they say, shit or get off the pot. It is time to do that with this Gargano gimmick. We had Zayn against Cardona. Credit to the fans for actually chanting for Cardona. Rough Rider and Blue Thunder Bomb were both avoided, with Cardona landing a nasty double underhook powerbomb right on Zayn's shoulder blades. There was zero margin for error there. Cardona hit a neckbreaker. Sammy countered another Rough Rider attempt into a powerbomb and started getting boos despite being cheered most of the match. Cardona then countered Helluva Kick with a Rough Rider for a rope break false finish. Zayn eventually caught Cardona with an exploder suplex and Helluva Kick for the win. There's a match later that fell far below expectations, but this was precisely the opposite. It was a way better match than I believed it was going to be, and while the crowd absolutely deserves some credit for it, it was also the best work Cardona has done since returning to the company. Got the job done, gave Sammy a victory he badly needed considering his path of late. Good.
Yeah, good match. Give Sammy a win. You can't just have him losing. Like, if he's going to be a heel who people don't like, there's got to be a reason to respect him a little bit. He's got to have some wins. And that is the role of Cardona here. He can talk and he can take a loss. That you need those guys in wrestling. And that for this exact spot here, and it worked.
Trick Williams hit the ring with Lil Yachty, who cut a promo about himself amid whoop that trick chants. Williams wondered which opponent he would conquer next for the United States Championship, but in the interim, he declared for King of the Ring. Carmelo Hayes received loud Mellow chants upon interrupting, saying he bought Trick as King of the Mic and King of the Entrance, but not King of the Ring, which is for grown folks. Hayes said he'd take care of Ricky Saints and then take care of Williams for the U.S. title. It got heated as the dual chants rang out from the crowd, and they went back and forth, even a bit off script, only for Saints to say that he also wanted the title. Saints ultimately got Trick slapped out of the ring as it popped off. And Mello kind of owned Trick in this segment. He got a couple quips and called him out on being repetitive. Ricky was heavily the third wheel in this segment. The crowd was on fire for both Trick and Mello, which was great for Hayes in particular. It impacted Mello too. You could see he had an ear-to-ear grin hearing the Mello chants, and he did a wink when they were raining down. I found myself wondering whether WWE can push off this inevitable Trick Mello feud for SummerSlam. It would be nice to have a true mid-card storyline, and given all of their history, it could make for quite a match on that show. That's a whole 2 months away, though, so I'm not going to put the cart before the horse. But this, back and forth, it was definitely good.
Definitely good. They do need to tell us the Trick Mello history.
They do.
For the people who didn't watch it in NXT. There is a lot there. There's some of it, which I'm going to cheap plug my interview with Trick Williams on my podcast. I talked to him about how Mello helped him because when he was starting out as a wrestler, there's a lot to deal with there. Enjoyed it. Whoop that trick. The chant in the Spanish accent in Barcelona was fun. It's always fun when you get the same chants, but they sound a little bit different because everybody's chanting with a different accent. But yeah, my takeaway from this was like, Mello's not backing down and like whipping at Trick a couple of times about being repetitive in ways that I don't know if it's off script or not, but ways that I'm like, oh, like, all right, you can feel a little bit of heat there, and that's what you want.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen the film The Internship? Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, they work at Google.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're there at Google. Yeah. Not in a long time, but yeah.
I find myself from that film saying Barcelona as opposed to Barcelona because Vince Vaughn does it that way. I do pronounce it that way sometimes in my head, but not because of that movie. They like take that over the top to say it. They do.
But there is a bit of a slur at the end of it, the way it's actually said.
Right. It's over enunciated in the film. But I have it when I say it or when I hear it, I think immediately Barcelona, even though it's Barcelona is really what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, I loved all of that, and I agree with you. There's no reason to go deep into their mythology until they're actually feuding in a major match. Everything has been open challenge in the ring, kind of random on SmackDown. If they wind up building a match for SummerSlam, that is when you get into the NXT material, and I truly hope that they actually do that. We had Hayes against Saints. Ricky got knees up to Brock a flog splash, hitting a Northern Light suplex bridge coming back. Mello answered with a leaping DDT, a springboard shoulder tackle, La Mystica, a tope cannonball, and a leaping clothesline off the barricade. As they continued brawling ringside, Mello threw Ricky into the steel steps and appeared to roll back inside in time, but the bell rang for a double countout. Saints attacked back inside, but ate first 48 with Hayes standing tall. I do not believe that finish, the countout, was necessary here, but what frustrated me more watching live was how it really was not a legitimate 10 count. It was rushed. 99% of the time in wrestling, the 10 counts get extended. When the action is outside of the ring, they go very slow. They break the count for no reason and start it over, whatever the case might be. Here's what's interesting, though. I almost never watch TV matches back. Because SmackDown aired in the afternoon, I was flipping around the channels later in the evening. I just happened upon SmackDown on USA Network, and this segment, the promo segment with Trick and Mello, was starting. I was like, oh, I enjoyed that. Let me watch that again. So I watched that segment again, and I said, you know what? I'll watch the match too. I was doing a little bit of work. So for the first time possibly ever, I enjoyed something so much more the second time that it flipped my grade. So I originally wrote this down as light bad. I'm flipping it to a good on rewatch. And you may say, why? Well, a countout finish is not inherently poor booking. It just needs to be executed well. That didn't take away from the match quality. And on rewatched, I realized Mello got 2 visual victories. He rolled into the ring at 10.1 while Ricky was outside, and he hit first 48 to stand tall at the end. So to my surprise, yeah, I'm giving it a good. It was clear they're holding back a little bit, knowing they would fight each other again. But from start to finish, I actually enjoyed the match, even with the countdown.
Yeah, I liked it. I was going to give it a good. And I had written in my notes, this would have been a good place for a time limit draw, which WWE doesn't do anymore. They never have that. They don't announce it before matches or anything. Like, if you give TV matches 10, 15-minute time limit or something like that, and just hit it. Like, most of the time, obviously, you're not going to hit it. But every once in a while, a match you don't expect to be a time limit draw ends up in a time limit draw. That way you don't have to do the awkwardness of the 10 count for the double count out. So I would have loved a time limit draw here as just kind of another way to do it. But still, I liked it and all that stuff. So it was good.
Sol Ruca received "You Deserve It" chants before an in-ring interview on Raw, saying it was a dream come true, and the fans' belief in her ended up being supreme motivation. Sol also gave props to Becky Lynch for defending the title, even if she was against it initially, and she promised to be a fighting champion who should not be underestimated because she's a rookie. The crowd immediately caught on with her new entrance theme and actually serenaded her with it after the celebratory pyro went off at the end of the segment. It was easily her best main roster promo. Not that she's had too many opportunities. It was rather boilerplate, though, content-wise, so I don't actually have much to say about it. I still believe it's too early for her to be champion, let alone be on the main roster. The proof is going to be in the pudding with her. She's got to become more consistent, more fluid, more varied in the ring. Her promo game is going to be contested, not so much in solo segments like this, but in feuds and confrontations. That's where you know whether someone can actually hack it. For a celebratory segment, it was good.
Well, it also wasn't solo because she had an interviewer there, which is
she wasn't going back and forth with someone, is what I meant.
No, but yeah. Was this the least deserving "You Deserve It" chance we've ever had? Like, what does "You Deserve It" mean? She's only been wrestling a few years.
Yes.
She was 2-1 on the roster. Like, where is the "You Deserve It" coming from?
No question. And you know what? I think she got "You Deserve It" chance at Clash in Italy immediately after the bell. I could be wrong, but I remember that.
Like, you deserve it is for somebody who has been doing something for a long time and either never got their praise or never got the title.
Delayed gratification.
It's like a Chad Gables type of situation. Like if he wins an IC title, that's when you break out a "You Deserve It."
Absolutely.
Nothing against Sol Ruca here. I just didn't think this is absolutely not the time to give a "You Deserve It" chant. We need to be a little bit more careful with that.
I wonder if she would not have gotten it in the United States. Like, it may have just been, we're in Italy.
Yeah, probably.
We're not going to have another chance to chant "You Deserve It," so we might as well do it here. It's the only title change they got. I wonder. Yeah. I wonder if it was location-based.
Probably not. I will say also her knitted clothes that she wore. Mm-hmm. Really cool outfit.
So here's what's funny. I thought the same thing. And I was like, man, Sol looks really good. And then I just so happened to go on Twitter, and Izzy Dame over on NXT was basically wearing the same thing, like on the beach or something like that. So I thought like, maybe she made it herself. It got customized or whatever. I think they just shopped at the same store and bought the same outfit. It was very funny. You can go look at Izzy's
maybe
Twitter. It was. I've never seen something like that before, and I saw it twice in 2 days. Yeah, it's just really funny.
It might. I'm gonna look. Yeah,
if it's not identical, it's similar. It's one of the two.
Yeah. That's funny.
Bayley and Lyra Valkyria backstage were excited about being in Queen of the Ring, but simultaneously focused on winning the women's tag team championships, given their victory over Judgment Day last week. As Bayley was gassing them both up in the promo, Lyra stepped aside to put over Soul for winning the IC title and ending Becky's reign of terror. Valkyria reminded she's no longer excluded from challenging for the strap, which she was because she lost to Lynch, and Ruka promised she would get an opportunity as the first ever IC champion. Bayley was understandably annoyed that Lyra was distracted and not focused on their primary objectives. This was a really well done segment. It's a bit tough to explain why this would bother Bayley when the basis of the interview was Queen of the Ring. So they're already separate as individuals going after a goal. So why can't Lyra also want this individual glory? But she has suffered so much betrayal over the years that it's certainly plausible for this to annoy her. I enjoyed how Bayley was adamant that they receive the tag team title opportunity. And I do love, even though it's been crazy frustrating for you and I, that everything we say on the show, Bayley says in promos, like, Adam Pearce, why are we not getting title matches? Why aren't we in the 4-way? Why aren't, so on and so forth? Because it doesn't make any sense that they're not involved in this. And it's ridiculous that they haven't won the titles already, especially when they had that opportunity at WrestleMania. I don't believe either of them is going to win this tournament. Fingers crossed they win the effing titles at SummerSlam since they didn't get the moment at WrestleMania. I'd be crushed if they wind up splitting as a team without taking the straps. Still, as a segment, this was good.
It was good. It did make me wonder, like, I think we both had Lyra winning at least one match.
We did.
In the
Yes.
we or I had her in the semifinals. I don't remember what you did.
I have her in the finals, I think, with Io as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the finals.
We both
the
have
finals.
her. We have the same finals, yeah.
But does Lyra looking at the IC title make you think maybe not? She loses in the first round and she's instead doing the Sol Ruka stuff. I think it's possible.
Oh, or she can lose in the semifinals too. She doesn't have to lose in the first round.
Well, she's already in the semifinals because it's the 4-person match.
No, that's the quarterfinal.
No. You're right.
It's a quarterfinal. So in that match, it's Ruka, Valkyria, Flair, and Cargill. We both believe Flair and Cargill will take each other out. If Sol beats Lyra, then she doesn't even get the title match. Because why would she, if Sol advances out of that and pins Lyra, then Valkyria wouldn't get the title match. If Sol advances to the second round and Lyra doesn't factor in, then you can argue that, yes, she can still get her title match separate from whatever happens here. So it's going to be interesting.
Or something where Lyra costs Sol winning the match and the two of them go off to do their IC feud, basically, is very possible.
Yeah, they could not run the IC defense until after Night of Champions. It's possible. Because Valkyria needs to focus on that path. And maybe Bayley wins her first round matchup too. I mean, I picked JC Jane on the other side of the bracket coming out of that, but Bayley could definitely pin Kiana James and move into the semifinal. That would make sense. So we'll have to see what happens there. Chelsea Green fought Nia Jax. Chelsea backstage tried to coordinate her ring entrance with Tiffany Stratton, assuming she'd get her back the same way Green did last week, only to be hurt when she was rebuffed with extreme prejudice. Irresistible Forces talked shit to Stratton later backstage, mocking the Tiffy Time gimmick and saying they were coming after the title once they take care of Green. Ironically, Lash Legend said she had a big head, and I'm glad Stratton called her on it because Lash could be related to JD McDonough. Okay, she has a massive freaking noggin. I digress. Nia has seriously trimmed down. Good for her. Chelsea hit a zigzag, missile dropkick, and Rough Rider. She got distracted by double booting Lash. But after Nia caught her with a Samoan drop, Tiffy's music hit. Nia got distracted looking at the ramp. She got smacked from the side, though, with the U.S. title. Referee didn't see it, as Green covered without hitting a second move for the 1-2-3. Chelsea sold the shock and awe incredibly well. While Chelsea was over the moon at getting help, Tiffy refused the hug. She walked off. This was close to perfectly executed. Green, for me, needed to hit Unpretty Her. And it was strange she did not, because a belt shot and finisher ultimately would have protected Nia more than just taking the belt shot and getting rolled up. Hitting the finisher also would have made the win feel more legitimate for Chelsea. This was one of many finishes on SmackDown that left me scratching my head, but it was nice for Green to get a notable win for once. The pairing with Stratton seems to be working well for both of them, and the crowd is all in with babyface Chelsea. I love the concept of her desperately seeking friendship and, Tiffy rebuffing it, but maybe having no choice in the end, reluctantly becoming her friend. This is good.
This was good. Definitely good. My question on the finish, Can Chelsea even physically hit the unprettier on Nia?
Yeah, it's just
Is
it's
not,
behind
but
her
is, I
back.
mean, is Nia like too tall? I don't remember. I'm trying to remember.
I mean,
how
she's
height-
so
height
to
they
take the
were.
move, she's bending down. Her arms are large.
Yeah,
It might be,
It's-
you might be right, but she could splash her off the ropes. She could do something else
Sure.
besides a roll up.
but they basically only ever beat the Irresistibles via a roll up and a leveraged pin. That's what
the
they
last
do every
2
single
months.
time.
Yeah, for sure.
It's basically been established that's the only way to pin the bigger women. So I was okay with that, but I didn't love Tiffany leaving. Like it felt like, okay, this can be the start of the friendship and off we go. And instead they just delayed it again.
Oh no, I thought that was
And-
important. I disagree.
Why?
Because the only reason she helped her was because Nia and Lash talk shit to her. She hates the forces. She's not friends with Green.
Right. But we are conditioned to believe now that they are going to become friends.
Well, they're probably
Because
going
they
to become
have-
reluctant
they have-
tag team partners first. And then maybe they
We've
become
never had
friends
that in
after
the women's tag division before.
You know that
I would say this. I would say this. They absolutely need to put the two of them together, and it would help Tiffany exponentially.
Oh yeah.
She needs this. She's not
So
like
bad.
the crowd's not really connected to her, and doing that through a friendship with Chelsea would absolutely help her. It would give her a character. It would
Mhm.
give her things. It would give her personable things to do with another person. And we know Chelsea is amazing at elevating whoever is with her. Remember when she was with, I think it was Carmella at the beginning, and then like she got hurt, and then it was what's her name, Sonya Deville
Mhm.
at one point, I think, and then Piper Niven, and like they kept going through people because they kept getting hurt. The people who were teamed up with Chelsea, so maybe you don't want to team with Chelsea, but it was all better
Yes.
together. So you put Tiffany and Chelsea together, it will really help Tiffany. People love Chelsea Green. She's always great in these spots. So I think they should do it. And I say all that because Joe Tessitore really leaned into it with his call when Tiffany left and Chelsea was kind of like, what the heck? And Tessitore says, it's not that deep. I was like, damn, man, she's just trying to make a friend here. He got shut down and commentaries is burying her for thinking she made a friend. So tough for Tiffany, tough for Chelsea. But I think it does give some more, it creates more sympathy for her, even in victory.
Yeah, you and I were over the moon at like the potential of Chelsea and Carmella. It just made so much sense seeing them next to each other. And then you're right, that's how it progressed. Chelsea always does well working with other women. And to your point, Tiffy badly needs like personality and character. And that's precisely what Chelsea will do for her. It also works with the mantra that I really wanted this women's division to have, because we talked about what's it going to take to make the tag team titles relevant. Well, you need women tag teams, and they don't have to be tag teams all the time, but they need to have relationships established. This creates another women's tag team where they can operate individually, but if they need a partner, they need to come together. You have them together. It's going to elevate Chelsea from an in-ring standpoint, get her on TV more. It's going to help Tiffany drastically with her personality and character work. And it creates the potential for Chelsea to win a title at some point down the line. Maybe even it's not this one. Maybe it's Money in the Bank. Maybe this is just getting her on TV enough so she ultimately is able to, take that briefcase, however many months from now when that finally happens. I want to say Money in the Bank this year is happening after SummerSlam, which is going to be interesting. Regardless, this is going in the right direction for both of them. And I personally loved that they did not become friends here and that they're still going to have Chelsea try to work her way into Tiffy's good graces. Brie Bella and Paige backstage said they don't mind the target on their back growing because they're on a roll with more defenses than anyone else since WrestleMania. And you know what? We've been critical of their reign, but that is facts. They're actually defending the titles regularly. Fatal Influence interrupted with JC Jane declaring for Queen of the Ring and the rest of the trio threatening the champions. It was solid enough. No lies detected, like I said. Perfectly fine from the heels. I am not sure why Fatal Influence has been so marginalized backstage of late. They were ridiculously hot those first couple of weeks. They got a week off, and they showed up. The reaction was not as strong. It's almost like the reaction was so much better and bigger than WWE expected, but they didn't have solid plans to follow. If Bayley and Lyra are not going to take the titles from the Legends, Influence should be the ones to beat Brie and Paige, and then Bayley and Lyra can challenge at SummerSlam and take it off of them. Good enough here, not great though.
Yeah, I've wondered because JC Jane was doing so well at getting the crowd hot in person, that maybe you only do stuff with them in front of the crowd so the crowd can react to them. Because then I think they did a backstage, and then later a couple weeks ago, and then they came out and didn't get maybe the reaction they were thinking they would.
That was 2 weeks ago.
So,
yeah.
but I'm with you where it was bigger than they thought initially, and maybe that means they changed a couple things or not, but I'm with you.
Blake Monroe received a 75-second coming soon promo package. She wrote in her diary opinions about the SmackDown locker room, saying Rhea Ripley is captivating with her presence, brutality, and misery, but while she strikes fear into others, she's hiding all of her betrayal. Monroe said she doesn't need to fake bravado. She turns heads simply by showing up. She's the stuff of nightmares, but she's as beautiful as a dream. Okay, so first let me get the criticism out of the way. Blake finally shows up on TV last week in a stupid 15-second backstage segment. And now she's back doing vignettes while WWE is in Europe, where she's literally from, and could have debuted likely to an even stronger reaction than she would have gotten stateside. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Now the positivity. This was easily the best of her packages to date. It actually allowed viewers insight into her personality. You understood her motivations, and she went right after the top dog on the brand with her words, the top woman in the entire company in Rhea Ripley. If she debuts and winds up feuding with Ripley soon after, it's going to be worth the wait in the end. It's tough to say right now. I figured, well, perhaps WWE is going to be in London soon, and that's when she'll debut. That is happening on June 23rd. So it's 3 weeks from now. It's 4 episodes away. I cannot imagine they keep this going with all these video packages, and then she shows up in London. But again, if that's the plan, why have her poke her head into a segment last week? Despite the legitimate faults with the way she's being handled on this episode, grading this segment, it was undoubtedly good. Like I said, it was the best we've gotten from Blake Monroe so far on the main roster.
Yeah, it was good. And first off, we're gonna make Blake Monroe's first feud Rhea Ripley in the championship, assuming that's what this is here. So I'm like, whoa,
yeah,
okay. And she is a very accomplished and very talented wrestler, for people who don't know, who aren't familiar with her in either AEW or NXT. She's very good. So it's not like she can absolutely excel on that stage. And that would tell me suddenly, like, whoa, maybe they actually do have really big expectations and plans for her. But also, like you, if the plan was London, why start this so early as you did?
Mm-hmm.
And also, why have her make the brief appearance and talk to Chelsea Green last week? It would have been smart and understandable to save the in-person debut for London. She's British. Like, that all makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes me think plans changed from when they first started the vignettes to now, and they're just adjusting potentially.
Yeah, I mean, really, she should have made her television debut. This video should have happened last week. She should have made her TV debut this past Friday in Barcelona, gotten a huge reaction from the crowd. Potentially, we're assuming, but Europe knows her and she's popular and she's gorgeous, so it makes sense. Gets a reaction, and then she starts going after Ripley, and you build a Blake Monroe Rhea Ripley match, even if it's non-title. You put that match in London, so she's not debuting in London. She's getting her big match in London.
Yeah. But does that make the crowd cheer her over Rhea Ripley?
No, because no one could get cheered over Rhea Ripley. Impossible. But she'd get cheered, and she'd get a great reaction, and you'd understand that she's a big deal. That's the goal.
Yes, agree.
But still, I do enjoy her going after Rhea.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee fought Rusev and Ethan Page. I got to tell you, removing the ego part of Page's entrance theme, I mean, we criticized it last week. It is total garbage. The ego carried the entire song. I cannot come up with a single justification for the change. It does not make a shred of sense. Ray got 2 incredibly hot tags to the surprise of nobody, running through the heels with a springboard crossbody and Hurricanrana. Page pounced Ray into Dragon for a roll-up near fall where I thought I was about to go nuts. Ethan then countered a Hurricanrana into a Boston Crab before Dragon caught Rusev with one, throwing him into Page. He took out Rusev with a Tope Suicida, allowing Ray to finish Page with a 619 to get the 1-2-3. No notes here. Great TV match. I'm glad Dragon is getting platformed again. Page got beat. He's basically immune to falls at this point. It was good.
Yeah, not much to it. Rey Mysterio in Europe, give him a win. It was fine. A light good.
I got to tell you, John Cena's retiring. AJ Styles is retiring. Rey Mysterio is out there at 52 years old. He's looking like he's 42. It's ridiculous.
I know.
It's crazy. I mean, maybe he's not retiring in the next 12 to 18 months. Who the hell knows at this point? It's unbelievable. Penta backstage was thrilled to learn from Adam Pearce that Rey will indeed receive an Intercontinental Championship match, presumably next week, but it was not announced. R-Truth backstage on SmackDown informed Damian Priest that he's still not medically cleared, and therefore he recruited Royce Keys as Priest's partner. When Keys entered the picture, Truth hid his chain because he thought he was Debo, which was so deadpan and under the radar, making a reference to Friday, but hysterical. I don't know how many people caught that.
And you know this, man?
Damian immediately rejected it once again because he believed Royce was compromised by Solo Sikoa, which Keys knew would happen, so he was fine with letting Priest fight MFT on his own. So Truth played reverse psychology on both guys, getting them each to agree that they were not scared of fighting MFT, and they were not worried about teaming with the other person, hence they had no reason not to pair up. So he had Priest and Keys against Tama and Tala Tonga.
4 big men slapping meat equals excitement.
Lots of heat on Solo Sikoa from the crowd. Believe there was an OTC chant early too. Keys hit a powerful choke bomb that got a nice pop. Priest did a bell clap and a flatliner. Sikoa hit Samoan Spike on Priest over the ropes as the referee's back was turned, leading Truth to run down and even the sides, only to take a thrust chop to the throat. Keys stopped Sikoa from hitting the Spike on Truth, only to get attacked from behind by Tama. Priest watched all of this transpire, eating a chokeslam from Tala to end the match. Someone needs to explain to me, like I need to be sat down by a member of WWE Creative, and they need to explain to me why Tala Tonga continues to be booked like he's year one Kane at this point. I don't understand it. Why are you doing that and simultaneously showing no development with him as a character and no personality whatsoever? The guy not only never loses, he always wins when he's faced in a tag team situation. I was enjoying this match, and the rare these days, can they coexist booking with Priest and Keys? WWE doesn't actually do it that much anymore. But everything fell apart from the distraction onward, and MFT continuing to pick up wins despite having a ceiling that's literally in the basement remains frustrating. My grade might surprise you. I'm actually going to give it a light good, but it's almost entirely for the backstage segment, which I thought was great between Truth, Keys, and Priest. And most of this match was perfectly fine. It's just the finish that had me scratching my head.
Yeah, and I wasn't on this part of the show last week to talk about it, but Damian Priest, the last couple of weeks, talking about Royce Keys and explaining why he doesn't trust him, I'm like, where has this Damian Priest been for a long time? He's talking confidently. He's talking smoothly. It makes sense. He's like, he says to R-Truth, like, we're tag team champs. I'm only teaming with you, which is what he should be saying. Mm-hmm. And so that they've suddenly found something here with Priest that we haven't seen it's basically since the Gunther street trash days, of something to build off. I'm like, oh, like, this is actually interesting here. And then he gets pinned by freaking Tala Tonga. So, like, I'm giving it a bad on the booking front.
That's fine. It's fine.
In part because I think they're actually doing a good job with the other part of it. The Priest Truth thing is like kind of working, but they're only like half committed to it because we know how WWE feels about tag teams, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I find that grade to be completely fair. The Priest and Keys 2 weeks ago, I thought was contrived and it was forced anger from Priest. Just like I've said before, how Charlotte was forcing issues with Rhea Ripley that didn't really make sense. Like they were just trying to create animosity where animosity didn't need to exist. That's what I felt with Priest and Keys 2 weeks ago. This week, it felt real. And when you had Truth kind of outsmart both of them, which is not something Truth normally does, that's why that was so entertaining to me. But then to throw all of that away with Tala Tonga winning another match, when you might have actually been able to develop this interesting trio on the other side to go against that MFT trio, I'm just like why? Why do that? So
yep.
I'm totally fine with you giving it bad. There's zero argument. In fact, it's weird. There's been a lot of criticism in this. There's some weeks where we're super positive about what WWE does, but we don't necessarily like the final booking, so we give more bads than you would think. And there's other weeks where we criticize more than we actually praise, but we give more goods than you would think because ultimately it was the right booking decision or there were positives that were hidden within some of the negatives. In this segment today, we've actually given I believe, all goods. I could be wrong about that, but I think we've given all goods up until you're bad there. And that is not indicative of everything being rosy and perfectly fine. It's just, at the end of the day, many of these segments delivered the way they were supposed to, and we were entertained by them. I just wanted to clarify that because I do agree. I was on the border with you on that one. Nick Aldis backstage apologized to Danhausen on SmackDown for all of his equipment being held up in customs, saying he probably shouldn't be doing experiments anyway. Aldis asked Danhausen to appear in front of the audience since he gets paid to do that in human monies, then told him to improvise his experiments if he wishes. So Danhausen, he starts gathering materials in the background as Miz wanted his match canceled because Kit Wilson was held up in customs due to bringing too much moisturizer into Europe, and he was not there to learn from him, therefore there was no reason for him to wrestle. Aldis similarly ran a reverse psychology ploy to get Miz ready as the lights flickered. We'll come back to that in a moment as there was a part 2 with Danhausen. We had Axiom against Miz. Lights flickered again at the bell here. Axiom dominated offensively. He caught Miz in a triangle but was unable to get Rings of Saturn. Miz blocked a Hurricanrana with a bounce-off powerbomb, but when he got to the top rope, the lights flickered again, allowing Axiom to catch Miz for a Spanish fly. He followed with Golden Ratio for the win. It was a fine match, but on a brand that has plenty more athletic and impressive wrestlers, Miz was just the wrong opponent for Axiom. Last year in the same space, Axiom fought Gunther. Letting him run against Gargano or Wilson, I'm not sure why Kit wasn't there, or one of Los Garza or Shinsuke Nakamura, it would have been far more exciting. Axiom was basically forced to work a quarter or half speed match when his entire gimmick is being fast and athletic. I'm glad he got the win in Spain. I'm glad he was featured. This gets a bad for me. It fell way below expectations.
Yeah, like light bad, because like in theory, the hometown guy, the home country guy, Axiom fights Miz, the guy everybody boos, Axiom wins. Like, okay, like it was like bare minimum type of stuff. So like it wasn't like bad, but it wasn't what it could have been. But I will give it a light bad because of that. But Axiom was fine.
Miz later threatened to sue Aldis given the distraction in the closing of the match. Aldis actually agreed with him and promised to get to the bottom of it, even though they both knew it was Danhausen. Miz stormed into his laboratory only to get sprayed with a fire extinguisher. Danhausen then stopped Aldis again from touching the cadaver under the cloth. So all of his equipment got held up in customs, but he's allowed to take a dead body overseas into Europe, and Kit Wilson is getting stopped because he brought too much moisturizer into the company. I know we are not looking for perfect logic in a comedy segment, but they probably should have either gone all in with it or waited until they returned stateside and had him do something else on the show. Aldis working deadpan was easily the best part of this, but Danhausen on Friday, he gets a bad.
Yeah, I'm torn because it's like they don't want to go overboard with Danhausen, which is smart to do. Don't overexpose him. And you also have the NBA Finals stuff going on that they continue to promote him with. But he's also probably somebody you would have wanted in front of the European crowd, right? And maybe they will. I mean, they're not done.
Yeah.
But
he may have shown up in front of the crowd. We don't know what happened. On SmackDown, they don't show the breaks the same way sometimes. It's possible he did. He didn't show up on Raw in front of the crowd either. So I got to assume he did, though, on both shows. I'd be very surprised.
And I think the same thing on the Kit Wilson, which is he's British as well. So maybe that's just like we're holding him for that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's the Danhausen in front of the crowd stuff. I don't know. I'll give it a light bad just because there wasn't really anything to it.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say. There's nothing to say that was good. It was whatever.
And then over on Raw, there was like a Danhausen style documentary video package about him uncursing the Knicks, who are now in the NBA Finals for the first time since '99 with the chance to win their first championship in 53 years. But that's all we got from him Monday night. Again, a nice reprieve. I do believe he's far more concentrated on SmackDown now, and hopefully going forward, we don't need him on both shows. That is overexposing. But if he's just going to be on SmackDown and, they have a little bit more time to work with for the next month and he's working with Miz and Wilson, that's cool. If they move him between both shows based on where they feel they need the comedy aspect to take place, that's okay too. He's the one guy where I don't need him aligned to an individual brand and only working that show because of logic reasons. Because you got to throw logic mostly out the window. I just mentioned it earlier because, why is the dead body there if he can't bring a beaker? You know what I mean? Light up crew or whatever the case might be. I don't know. All right. That wraps up this edition of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Just broke down every single thing that happened across Raw and SmackDown. Obviously gave you a second look at WWE Clash in Italy and AAA Noche de los Grandes. Don't forget to listen to our instant analysis show if for some reason you missed it and didn't pause and listen to it before you heard this episode. Again, make sure you listen to that. It came out on Sunday. We'll be back on Thursday talking all things NXT and AEW. And next week, we will indeed have 2 episodes. We'll be talking WWE at some point around Tuesday, NXT and AEW at some point around Thursday. Just don't know about publishing times due to Silver King visiting the city that never sleeps for not 1 but 2 NBA Finals games. And hopefully Silver King comes back home with a championship t-shirt at the end of it. But of course, we will find out. On the way out of this show, please remember,
I happen to love the number 5.
and I hope you do as well, $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, exclusive news analysis posts every week. Support us, get extra content, keep the show on the air. Buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show. On YouTube, you can listen to the program and you can watch full-length video interviews. In our social media profile links, you can join our free Slack channel and subscribe to the podcast at Getting Overcast wherever you want to find us. And lastly, do not forget,
It's all about Divide.
head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. For Vintage Chris Vanini, this is the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, signing off and leaving you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.